Now, here's Tim Hill and Bill Gunter on 107.5 The Game.
All right, you're up.
Got to tell you guys, I might have OD'd on sports this weekend. U.S. Open golf, College World Series, NBA Game 7s. I was all over almost all of that stuff. I don't know if I've ever watched more golf in my life. And watching Jon Rahm win that thing, I guess, is a good place to start. An epic finish. Well, it was pretty epic for him, I guess. It wasn't maybe what I had hoped it would be with those names down the stretch. Bill, I saw you tweet about it. About the back nine yesterday. Not epic shot after epic shot, but a pretty dang good U.S. Open, and happy to see Jon Rahm win it with a couple of birdies there at the end on his first Father's Day and the whole thing. What'd you think?
Yeah, there was a second there. Well, I say a second. What, I don't know, maybe about a 20-minute period where you see the names on the leaderboard, and you're like, my goodness. Make sure you've already had your bathroom break and you've got all the food you want in front of you and your beverages, and you aren't going anywhere because, man, this could be a phenomenal close. And then everybody kind of, Rory couldn't hold on. You had kind of everybody kind of fall apart there a little bit. But I was happy for Jon Rahm. Not just because he was the guy that I picked to win, but because that was fun to watch him win it, to see him with his baby, everything that he's been through the last few weeks. Was excited to see him win it there on the course. I know that means a lot to him. So not a bad finish by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm with you. It kind of became anticlimactic the way that at one point you look up and it's Rahm, it's Morikawa, and Koepka was in there. McIlroy was in there, DeChambeau was in there, and you're going, my goodness, this could be one of the best finishes to a golf tournament I've ever had the chance to witness. And then everybody kind of comes completely unglued. And for example, you have a guy named Guido who ends up in a tie for fourth, who I wouldn't have put in there in that list of incredible names. But very good golf tournament. I'm with you. Great weekend. I said it going in. Great weekend of sports that we ended up having, and a lot of fun to really do nothing. Is yesterday here, absolutely rainy, very rainy all day long. So not a bad day to just lay on the couch and flip back and forth between that and multi other sports.
And at the top of that list, I think you got to go Game 7s in the NBA. I know the NBA is down on our totem pole for sure, but Saturday night and yesterday and last night, both pretty dramatic game number 7s. It was the Bucks over the Nets on Saturday night, and then last night. This is where I think the conversation goes for the larger sports world. Unfortunately for Ben Simmons, it drops right on his shoulders. A dude that's set to make $140 million took 3 shots total in the fourth quarter of a 7-game series. And last night's game changes when he basically has an open dunk or at least a layup or at least something and passes the ball and is clearly just scared or completely in his head, however you want to look at it, man. That was one of the strangest things I've seen in sports, I think, where Ben Simmons is right now and what just happened in that 76ers series. You guys catch any of that? Did you nod in your head over there, I see?
Yeah, and Joel Embiid referenced it as the point where they kind of lost. Yeah, the game changed, and Doc Rivers couldn't even say if he thinks Ben Simmons can be the point guard of a championship-winning team. We've seen guys have like mental hurdles before, but that's like more of a not being able to hit shots or knock down shots. That's part of basketball, but to not even have the confidence to attempt any shots. He didn't attempt a fourth quarter shot in the last 4 games. I don't even understand how you get to that point.
I don't know if you can go back and get the audio or whatever. It was after Game 6. It's after they blew the huge lead. And he was asked a question about it was a team where I forget the exact wording of the question, but it was a team-oriented question about bouncing back from from that in winning Game 7. And he started talking about the mental approach to the game and how right now a lot of it is mental. And I listened to it. It was Thursday, I believe, because I listened to Dan Patrick talking about it. And Dan Patrick was pointing out, like, oh, you can tell this is completely in his head now because he's not even answering the question that he's being asked. He's talking about the mental aspect of the series, and that's never what you want your players to be talking about, is it being a mental part of the game now. And Ben Simmons just flat out, it's mental. I mean, it's absolutely in his head, and I wonder if he'll obviously get a chance next year, but if he can bounce back or what the Sixers can do in the offseason. Patrick, I don't know his exact contract situation. Tim, you just referenced $100 million. I don't know what the Sixers do. They're kind of trapped right now with the way the rest of the Eastern Conference is. You figure as soon as the Nets can get everybody healthy, they'll be fine. The Bucks are going to be fine. The Hawks look like an up and coming team. We'll see what the Celtics end up doing with as they make a big trade there. What, on Friday now? I think all the days are running together on me, but they trade Kemba Walker out of there. Very interesting to see what the Sixers elect to do or go forward, or how they elect to build that organization.
$140 million is what Ben Simmons is owed by the Sixers in the next 4 years. And we've seen exactly what you said, Patrick, a bad series, a bad stretch of shooting. We've never seen a guy shoot as poorly from the free throw line as what we just saw Ben Simmons do in the playoffs. 34% in the playoffs overall. Worst ever in NBA playoff history for anybody who's shot at least 70. 33% against Atlanta, just 1 out of 2 yesterday when they fouled him on purpose, and that was just strategy. Watching the NBA postgame show on TNT yesterday with the other guy that I feel like is famous in my lifetime for being a terrible free throw shooter, Shaquille O'Neal, on there. Hearing him just, he basically said, if he was in my locker room, I would knock him out. Ben Simmons. I mean, that's a direct quote. I couldn't make that one up. And these guys breaking it down, and it was Charles Barkley, not surprisingly, who spoke most frankly about it and most honestly, and just talked about how this is a mental thing, man. And to see it at this level, at this time. And you saw the exact opposite from the Hawks and Trae Young. Trae Young didn't play well last night. He was awful shooting the ball. And then the fourth quarter happened. And the exact opposite mindset. Total confidence, straight up killer, just hitting big shot after big shot. A guy that clearly you would love to lead your franchise. And that's what the Atlanta Hawks have in their point guard. The 76ers have the exact opposite. I mean, Ben Simmons was actually guarding Trae Young most of yesterday and get the credit for helping him struggle, keeping him down. And then the fourth quarter happens, and I've never seen it quite so drastic like that, with a couple of young stars that should have both really bright futures. And I just don't know if Ben Simmons has it anymore. Actually, I do know he doesn't have it anymore after this year. Never seen anything like it. College World Series this weekend as well. Great games. Last night, it was Mississippi State 2-1 over Texas. Earlier in the day, it was Virginia shutting out Tennessee. The night before, really good extra inning games. Vandy, a winner in extra innings, and NC State starting things off with a win as well. So they're the winner's bracket game tonight is Vandy. NC State was into that. See who hit us up first this morning on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Michael just wanted to say 2 triple plays, and the Yankees with one of those yesterday to end the game. So plenty notable. The Braves playing a doubleheader yesterday against the Cardinals, whipped in game number 1, come back and win 1-0 in game 2. So overall, tons to get to on the sports weekend. The Gamecock football perspective, a commitment announced. And then, Bill, I think this is one that Gamecock insiders kind of saw coming, but it looks like a defensive tackle for Miami, Jamal Weiss, wanted to wait until Father's Day to make the news public. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, they apparently committed last weekend, at least privately, to the coaching staff, but wanted to wait until yesterday and announces his commitment. You're exactly right. Jamal Weiss is his name, as you just pointed out, is a 6'4", 255-pound, will end up being defensive end, maybe grow into a deep interior defensive player, commits to South Carolina. Over main offers would be Florida, Indiana, and Miami would be who you listed. He is now down at Florida Christian School. I think he's originally from Ohio, is where he was from. I forget the high school that he was at in Ohio, but from Florida Christian School down in Miami, Florida, and not having the typical Florida, South Florida ties that those kids are, a little bit easier to get him out of Miami again, given that he was originally from Ohio. And so good pickup for the Gamecocks. We'll see. Again, you got to get them committed, then you got to get them signed, and then you got to develop them. That's the 3-step process there that Shane Beamer has to continue to work toward to rebuilding South Carolina.
Carlton up early with us this morning on the YouTube live stream. Trey with us on Facebook live stream, mentioning Happy Father's Day. Certainly, I would like to relay that to you, Bill, and all the other fathers out there that hope yesterday went well. Got to hang out with my family for most of the day and had a good one myself. Chris says he's back to reality this morning from a week off and asks how many strikeouts did Mississippi State end up getting yesterday. 21 is the answer. The 27 outs, College World Series record, I believe. And again, the trend continues, Bill. We talked about it from the Gamecock perspective about the high strikeout numbers, but certainly Carolina not the only ones, and Mississippi State doing it last night. Their starter gets 15 of them, and then Landon Sims comes in the last 3 innings and adds 6 more. I think it's 21 total last night from Mississippi State pitching.
15 most strikeouts, 15 for right now. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I got to go back and look. But yeah, Landon Sims or Bednar, yeah, Will Bednar, with 15 strikeouts, the most in the last 25 years at the College World Series there for him, and certainly it just continues to show you pitching right now because of the way the Major League Baseball draft was last year at a very elite level this year in college baseball. And I think you mentioned the shutout over the weekend, so it's been. I haven't watched much of the College World Series. I didn't. Of all the things going on, you're right. Yesterday was full investment in golf, and when you get the West Coast golf, the leaders don't tee off until roughly 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it carries you late into the evening. And then we ended up doing a little Father's Day, the new Disney Pixar movie Luca, which I watched with the kids, and I still couldn't tell you what the plot line was. Yeah, I have no clue what I watched last night. Like it was, I think I was like, I was a little worn out from sports, but yeah, that was it. But no, I didn't get much into the College World Series this weekend. You had Lightning Islanders on Saturday night that we grilled burgers for and watched, and then a lot of golf in between.
Patrick, you're looking into the plot.
I already was intrigued by it. I wanted to watch it. It's about a little Italian boy who grows up on the Italian Riviera and is also a sea monster.
Yeah,
okay, so wait a second.
Monster.
I'm set to watch this with my kids tonight. So I'll give you my.
And Raya. I want to watch that and Raya. Those are the 2 new Disney movies.
Never even heard of.
You know how the Disney Plus does? You guys probably don't have Disney Plus, do you?
Well, obviously, we have to, I think, to be able to watch it.
Oh, do you? I thought they were in theaters.
No, I didn't go to the theater.
Or like pay-per-view or whatever it is. But yeah, Raya was like $30 until a couple weeks ago. So now you can actually watch it.
I watched Luca last night.
So it's more of a financial decision. Is that what you're saying? That
I'll never pay $30 to watch an animated movie. No, never in a million years. I want to watch Cruella too on Disney Plus because I've heard it's actually good. But
we probably should have watched. We probably should have gone with that. Right?
No, it's $30.
Oh, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Ooh, gracious.
Yeah.
What we really need to know, Patrick, is did you end up wearing a tie this weekend? Please tell us no.
Not to the wedding, no. I had to wear a tie for the rehearsal dinner on Friday, so I did wear one tie, but I was top button, unbuttoned, open collar for the wedding, and it was a good call. It was the right call.
And what about the overall festivities up in Boone, sir? Your weekend?
Boone was a rough day. It was a rough day because Boone was an hour north of where we were, and we had just a rough Thursday night. We were very hungover on Friday morning and drove an hour up the road to Boone and Blowing Rock, North Carolina, which I'd never heard of. Weird little place. And then we were just walking around hills all day and just feeling terrible, and cut our trip an hour short and just came back as soon as we were able to check into the hotel.
Okay.
Weird little place.
It was. I was so confused as to where I was because I'd never heard of it. Have you been there?
I think I've been there, and it's pretty famous. It sounds like wherever you might have went in your state, it might have turned out to be not a great.
No, it was just like this little village that I didn't know anything was there. There didn't appear to be any tourist attraction in the area, but there was just this little village with bed and breakfast and everybody walking around. And I was just like, where are we? It felt like I had just left the country and was in this tiny little remote village. It felt like a Calder. I don't even know. It was bizarre.
That's one of the greatest trip breakdowns I've ever heard. Weird little place. Let's go. 803-46100. If you'd like to join the program, you can call or text, like a lot of you have already done on that Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Gamecock Larry hit us up on the Hot Take Hotline last night. That number is 803-978-6654. You can do it 24/7. Sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. Go see him down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street. Just wanted to let us know that he was afraid that he might oversleep, but he does have a bone to pick with me. I can't wait. Gamecock Larry. I hope he does not oversleep all the way there. I'm interested. He's piqued my interest for sure. We'll try to do that for you on this Monday morning after a big weekend of sports in a lot of different ways for sure. Just getting started. 803-404-6100 up and rolling on the Facebook, YouTube Live, Twitter as well. The station handle at 1075 The Game. If you'd like to check out the video stream, it's the early game here on 1075 The Game.
Good.
Was indeed a big weekend, a lot of fun. Now we're all back to reality. Maybe that reality today means paying your mortgage bill. If you're going to do that, maybe take a peek at that mortgage statement. See exactly what's on there, how much equity you have, what the interest rate is, all the important little factors that go into paying that mortgage statement. Go ahead and do that. Then call Jacob Crowder and Brian Kovar, the mortgage guru team at First Palmetto Bank. See what they can do to help drastically improve your financial situation. You never know. You don't know until you give them a call. Just investigate the situation a little bit. 803-719-1005. You can give them a call. They might be able to help you just as they did a friend of theirs recently. Helped get him a little money back, lower his interest rate, save money on his monthly mortgage payment, and being able to pay off a debit card or credit card that he had, all by refinancing his home. You never know what can happen until you give him a call. That's why you need to do it today. 803-719-1005. You can also email him the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. Again, Brian Kovar, Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru team, right now helping a lot of people out. You can be one of those people. You just give them a phone call. 803-719-1005. It's the mortgage guru team. Jacob Crowder, Brian Kovar with First Palmetto Bank. All right. Coffee is made. Let me get some here. Oh, where?
That sounds like some good volunteer work, John. Not to be confused with Rolling Rock. Blowing Rock is different. Huh? Patrick, you're on mute there.
Went to Catawba Brewing. That was nice.
So any wedding drama, sir?
No, I don't. Not really. Not for me. I'm sure there was, but I was just hanging out. It was fine. It was a long weekend.
Did you end up making any wedding friends? You were the outsider going in, right?
Yeah, I mean, I knew on Thursday night was like a meet and greet at the parents' house for, I guess, like the closer friends and family.
Right.
So I met a couple people, and then on Friday met like a couple more people at the rehearsal dinner. So I knew who to cling to on Saturday at the wedding. It was just a couple young people that were from Maryland, and I had things in common with, so I could talk about DC sports or University of Maryland or something like that.
See, I would have thought you would have been a movie/TV guy in social conversation go to instead of sports.
That would have been nice, but it turned out the one kid I sat next to at the rehearsal dinner was was an equipment manager for Maryland football. So I knew right away that sports was going to be the avenue of discussion for most of our time.
Any inside information?
No, he just said that Durkin, he was there for Durkin's days, and he said Durkin was a really nice guy, and was very surprised about how everything transpired.
What do you mean the putts, Craig? How about the drive on 17, man? All you got to do is keep it out of the hazard, and we got a playoff.
He had when Rom finished, there were 4 holes left for him, or was?
Oh, he's boss. You're talking about the putts for Rom on 17 and 18. That's what he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. But Louis, how many holes did Louis have left when
4?
Rom finished? 4 holes left. Yeah, I mean you got to be able to make a.
Well, he did make the birdie on 18, but after the bogey on 17.
Yeah.
Morning, Anthony.
It was such a classic Bryson meltdown after one bad drive.
44 on the back.
Yeah.
44.
I love that. I love that happens to the best players in the world.
He just come completely unglued. The Brooks he's got to him.
Yeah, I was not happy when he took the lead. I was like, we're not going to get this, are we? I did not want to see DeChambeau.
This is why, and see, I kind of feel like I start to like Bryson, and then you got something like what he says after the round, where he's like, "Oh, it's just a series of bad breaks." Like, dude, you just didn't play good. It wasn't bad breaks. You just it wasn't like McElroy where he hits it in the ravine and goes to hit his ball and thinks about going down there, and there's a rattlesnake down there, and he's like, "No, I think I'll just take a drop."
Yeah, that's 17, man. 8. Woo. 8 for DeChambeau, number 17.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I ended up barely breaking even. Made a tiny little bit of money on this tournament because Kokrak was not good. Mark Leeson was not good. But Brooks Koepka, top 10 finish in a major is free money.
No, your advice about under par was the easiest bet all weekend, huh?
Yeah,
it was.
Although not that many guys got under, right? It was only like the top 7, but they got under pretty clear, very clear.
Yeah, you were good with that.
So when did individual day tickets go on sale for next year? Do y'all know, or is it always 4-day passes?
The U.S. Open? No clue. Where's it even at next year? Is it Pinehurst again?
No, it's actually it's at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. And I only say that because going to Boston at that time of year might be fun. Go catch a Red Sox game, go to like a day at the U.S. Open, do some museums or something, take the kid like for a different kind of summer vacation type trip. I started looking at it this weekend. But obviously you won't know the baseball schedule till I think like January, maybe. I don't know. I don't know when the baseball. And then right now they're selling 4-day passes, week-long passes.
You're up.
Ron from Lake Marion. We used to be able to count on him as the first texter every single day. He hasn't been that guy for a while, and yet still he's on the same wavelength as we are. Gentlemen, Tim Hill, Bill Gunter, Patrick Perrette helping fill in for Jensen in the Herndon Chevrolet Studios producing this morning. Ron from Lake Marion on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line just a minute ago. Have you talked about the DeChambeau epic meltdown? Was he scared by the streaker, or a case of he's so intelligent he's a little crazy? I mean, as we were talking about this thing on the video stream, I think is when Ron asked this, guys, and we were all talking about, or at least Patrick and I were talking about how much we love to see it, because what he almost makes the hole in one with a ridiculous wedge on a par 3, and there he is sitting on top of the leaderboard. I think right about the turn. Right, he's 5 under. I think he's got a shot lead somewhere in there as we head to the back 9 at the U.S. Open, looking to make it back U.S. Opens. And I mean, there wouldn't be much you can say about him if he does this. That's the thing, right? With him specifically, there's something about him that I think a lot of us, it rubs the wrong way or whatever. But if the guy's winning, I mean, there's only so much you can say. And then he turns in a 44 on the back 9. And Bill, you hit it on the head immediately with how you started talking about this with us during the break. Like, did you see that he just said it was a series of bad breaks? I guess the question specifically to Bryson DeChambeau after finishing 44 on the back 9 yesterday was just about what happened, or did things go off the rails? He's like, I didn't go off the rails at all. It's golf. It's just golf. And you had an 8 on a hole. That's not what a U.S. Open champs do on number 17 on the 71st hole at a U.S. Open. That's not golf. That's going off the rails. And I think it's that lack of authenticity for me is what it's something that's hard for me to, I guess, to put a finger on or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't like this.
Would it have been better if he said, yeah, I'm a head case? I twisted my foot on that one hole, whatever it was, 13. And then
that's what it was, yeah. Right? Yeah, his foot slipped and then he was done.
Yeah.
Just absolutely done. And
yeah.
I'm weak mentally, and that broke me. And
well, but I don't know.
I would have loved to, Bill. I would have loved to hear, like, I didn't have my steel. I didn't have the old school cleats today. It's clearly what did me in, and the fact that the USGA didn't allow me to wear them. That's who I blame in all this. And
yeah, his foot slipped. And I guess y'all were listening there. Is they said on 13 that tee box people had been slipping.
Yep.
On that tee box throughout the day, that something was going on there. But yeah, that's the part that makes it like kind of hard to like him, is that, dude, you completely imploded on the back 9. And they say, well, I got a few bad breaks in the rough, or, some other places. The exact quote that he had was, I got a few bad breaks in the rough and a couple other places. Like, yeah, you got a couple bad breaks because you hit bad shots. The exact quote he says, let's read the exact quote. He says, I didn't get off the rails at all. It's golf. People say I did this or did that, and it's just golf. I've had plenty of times where I hit it way worse than today, and I won. It's just one of those things where I didn't have the right breaks happen at the right time. I could have easily gotten to 7 under, 8 under today. I just wasn't fully confident with the golf swing and just got a little unlucky in the rough in a couple of the places. I get it if you shoot a 37 or a 38 and you lose by 2 or 3 and you're, something happens down the stretch. Dude just didn't play good on the back 9. And I don't even think he necessarily choked. He just didn't play good. Like, I just say I didn't play good. I didn't play championship caliber golf, and I'll bounce back. I got 2 more this year. I'll be around for the next 15, 20 years. I'll get one. It just, things went. I don't even remember what Mickelson said when he smacked one off the corporate tent. What was that, 7 years ago, when he had the 2-stroke lead going to 17 or whatever? You know what I'm talking about? 17 or 18 in the Open, and that was his best chance to win.
Wingfoot.
I don't remember Mickelson saying, I caught some bad breaks there, and ball just flew left on me and hit a corporate tent and ended up having to take a drop.
Speaking of Mickelson, did you see him just chilling with the baby and John Rahm's wife as Rahm is just going he went to the range just to hit a few shots while Louis Oosthuizen's finish up. And who's there's two people sitting there, and they're giving John Rahm all kinds of space. It is just it's like Mickelson appeared on a cameo of a show. It just happened to be Mickelson just sitting there with his shades on, leg crossed, hanging out, being like Uncle Phil.
Well, did you hear what they said? I watched a lot yesterday. I woke up and started watching, and he was obviously one of the first people out. And did you hear what they were talking about? Like basically what he was saying.
No.
See, he was out of contention, and he basically was like, "Yeah, I just like to play 9 and get out of here. I don't really care to be here." Like it was the most. I forget who said it was very, very early, and I forget who was following him. The lady that was following him, I forget her name. But basically, even at one point, he turned around, I guess, and apologized. He was like, "I don't really care to be here today, and I'm sorry for the bad golf. I'm sorry it's not entertaining." And she was like, "I didn't know what to say. I just responded to him. Phil, you're always entertaining." It's like that's the most honest thing I had heard, because it's kind of like he knows he's there to win. The money, finishing, making some money, whatever he made yesterday for finishing the tournament, is completely irrelevant to him. He's there to be in contention and to win. And if he's not going to be in contention on Sunday and he has to be one of the first people out, it's like, yeah, you guys just want to card me down for like a 75 and call it a day and just let me hang out in the clubhouse with everybody else and goof off. Like,
that's how it should be. He shouldn't be forced to play that last round.
Oh man, stop.
What good does it do anybody
to finish the tournament? That's scheduled for 72.
Well, most people you're playing for
Jason
the money.
Kokrak only played 36.
Yeah, but most
you lost money.
Most people you're playing on Sunday to try and improve maybe your financial standing by a couple dollars or a couple thousand or whatever. Phil doesn't care. Phil's got enough money. Like it was completely irrelevant what happened to him yesterday. I thought that was the most. You talk about two statements from two different golfers. DeChambeau basically saying that I just got unlucky and I played fine. I just got unlucky, and you got Phil being like, really don't even feel like being here on Sunday. Like there's no point in it. I mean, I can't win the tournament. I don't even care to play 9. So, wow.
Yeah, but maybe I guess he had like that attitude isn't that new or refreshing, I don't think, for superstars in that position. Maybe, I don't know what changed his mind, or maybe he just feels a connection to John Rahm for sticking around to the very end. And there he is after Rahm wins it, one of the first guys giving him a hug there on the range. And this was one of the more interesting television scenes I've seen as well. And I wouldn't have even seen it without my 6-year-old. They mentioned the trophy, and my 6-year-old is 6. So he's into trophies, right? He's like, oh, can we watch the trophy ceremony? All right, watch this thing all day. You might as well stick around for 5 more minutes and watch the trophy ceremony. And John Rahm, immediately after winning this thing, I mean, this should be the textbook interview show all athletes in times of victory, right? Talks about how he stayed positive and he believes in good karma, about the situation with COVID and being disqualified just a couple of weeks ago, and then balance that out with real life stuff, talking about someone he knew, I think, that tragically passed away because of it, then expressed how special Torrey Pines is to him, because it's where he proposed to his wife and it feels like home and the whole thing. And I mean, just instantly, I'd like this guy that much more, right? First major win dedicated to Seve Ballesteros, and first U.S. Open ever by a Spaniard. And then they go to the trophy ceremony. And this poor dude who's retiring as the head of the USGA, they turn it over to him and he's got prepared statements. And then he says, and now let's all take a moment and celebrate or honor our country, or whatever he said, with a flyover by whoever.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait a second, what? So, because flyovers are tricky. If you guys have ever been to Williams-Brice Stadium, the military tribute, you got to time it out right. And then the dramatic conclusion is the flyover. You got a Super Bowl national anthem, and they time that sucker out to hit the note, and then the flyover. I've never heard a flyover ramped up to by someone who is not used to hitting a special time. And then he just says, and now we have and then so everyone kind of awkwardly pauses and like looks up to the sky and then starts looking around. And there's nothing there.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
And then poor Steve Sands, he's like the NBC Golf Channel guy. All right, as we wait for that, what do we hear from John? It was one of the most awkward live TV moments I have ever seen in my life after winning that U.S. Open yesterday. Oh,
So it just never showed up.
it did about 4 minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe after the let's pause and enjoy this flyover comment.
they might have made a slight left turn somewhere around like the third hole and missed the. I don't know what happened, but that was actually as I was sitting there, kind of at that point, like fixing some dinner and doing some things. I did catch that where it was basically like, all right, the flyover, and there's this long pause, nobody sees it, and it's like, okay, let's just continue on with this. It'll get here when it gets here. They'll arrive at some point.
I thought that's who I was going to feel worse for, the worst for in sports last night, and then Ben Simmons and the Sixers happened, and that whole deal went down. And that I will be shocked if Ben Simmons ever plays for the 76ers again. Just after that one game performance. Like, I get it wasn't in one game. And the series stat, Patrick, you brought it up. 0 combined shots in the last 4 games in the fourth quarter for Ben Simmons in this series, and 3 total. 3 total. And again, hearing Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny Smith talk about it, Barkley's point, I think, was the one that hit home to me. We've seen instances like this, especially with Shaq, the hack of Shaq, and that being a strategy at the end of games and sending somebody to the line, and that was the strategy here. But I've never seen this with a guard, right? The guy who handles the ball ended up, it reminded me of seeing like an 8th grader play with a varsity team for the first time. You know, where physically he's just a little bit timid and should be intimidated, right? And that's what happened to. I mean, this guy is supposed to be one of the most talented players on the planet. He's owed $140 million in the next 4 years. We saw him come through LSU, and remember PJ Dozier getting the better of him when his one trip to the Colonial Life Arena. I wasn't overly impressed, but knowing that you can't just evaluate someone on one game and the whole thing. And I think he's had a relatively good NBA career. He's averaged 18 points. I think he's been an all-star. But, man, I don't know what has happened to Ben Simmons. And it was evident last night. And it was never more obvious than watching his approach towards the end of that game in the fourth quarter. And Trae Young, the exact opposite. I was almost put out the tweet. Like, I think Ben Simmons is a guy I wouldn't mind babysitting my kids, but I want Trae Young as my point guard in a franchise, because they just seem to have the exact opposite mindsets, and it was on full display last night.
Going back, and he said it again last night. I was just reading one of his quotes that I missed last night where he admits it's a mental hurdle. At first, he says, the first thing I'm going to do is clear my mind and get my mental right. You've got to be mentally tough. You can't take games for granted, especially in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know if this is, I think you kind of said it at the beginning. I don't know if this is equal to the yips. I think Chuck Knobloch is the one for me that always comes to mind as the guy who couldn't throw it from second base to first base, because I always think that's a little bit easier trying to throw a pitch. I'm trying to think of who the pitcher was that just completely lost control. I know there's been a couple, but I think there was one for the Cardinals. That was Rick Keel, maybe. Does that seem right?
Rick Keel. Mark Wohlers is the Braves example.
Yeah, I mean, I think throwing a pitch is harder in baseball than building a grounder at second and being able to toss it over to first. A routine play, you're doing it pitching. There's a little bit of a mental aspect of it, and obviously, but man, oh man, you wonder if Ben Simmons is ever going to be able to get over this, because now this is the scouting report on him, right, Patrick? For the next 82 games in the regular season, it's Simmons right now can't get it done in the fourth quarter. Either foul him or don't worry about him offensively if you're the opposition.
But that's what it's been. I mean, there's before the season, there's always hilarious props on him, like over under 1/2 of a 3-pointer for the entire season. So he's a starting point guard in the NBA. He's an all-star at this point, and he can't. And now it's just transitioned to he can't even attempt a shot. I don't know how it's devolved to this point, but at the same time, he's only 24. But it's also his 5th season in the NBA. So
right. Well, that's
I
what they're
don't know how
talking
long.
about on the post game show. Like, everyone has deficiencies coming into the NBA to some degree, right? And then you expect them to improve on them, not to the word you use is the exact right word, Patrick. Devolve. He's gotten worse. And then it just went to an epic level yesterday. Just mind-boggling in a lot of ways, but really interesting game sevens in the NBA. And again, Bill, I know you said you didn't catch the College World Series. Great crowds out there at Omaha and some really good games. A good start for sure. And the 4 winners bracket teams will match up now. Vandy and NC State lead that off tonight. Then it'll be Mississippi State and Virginia on Tuesday night. I want to get you guys' thoughts on this Virginia team, knowing that they eliminated the Gamecocks. What you think could be a perception change if they continue to keep winning, because I think it's a very real possibility. They looked really, really good against Tennessee yesterday in a 6-0 shutout win over the Vols, who I thought going in had as good a chance to win this thing as anybody. And you never know how it goes out there at Omaha. Things could change quickly. We'll continue to discuss that. Interested in your thoughts as well. 803-404-6100 if you'd like to call or text. It's the early game here on 107.5 again.
Clear.
Really was a great Father's Day weekend. A lot of sports to watch. Also, I actually slept just a ton. Got caught up on a lot of sleep with a Sleep Number bed. It's great, restful, relaxing sleep. Actually, slept till 11:30 on Saturday morning, if you must know. It was that great of a night of sleep. And yesterday, phenomenal as well. Had a hard time getting back up this morning just because of the great amount of sleep you get with a Sleep Number bed. You can do the same. I put my Sleep Number setting on 45. I actually moved it up to 60 last night just to try something different. Go ahead right now. Discover proven quality sleep during the lowest prices of the season sale. All Sleep Number 360 smart beds are on sale starting at $899, but it's only for a limited time. 2 stores to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, 2 Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web. SleepNumber.com, the place to do that. Again, discover proven quality sleep, the lowest prices of the season sale. All Sleep Number 360 smart beds on sale starting at $899. I'm telling you what, great weekend, a lot of sports, but a phenomenal weekend of sleep. Go ahead today, make the switch to Sleep Number and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like. On here.
What's that?
I got multiple tiny issues going on. Hold on. Oh.
Oh, Patrick needs you to do some traffic updates too for the guys. You know how to do those? Put it as the TXRE file, right? They just need like 15 seconds or something.
Patrick, you never responded to my text message Friday.
What's that?
I said, well, you responded. I said, Patrick never responded to my text message on Friday. You You responded to it. No, I'm sorry. Thursday.
What was it?
You responded to it.
Yeah.
It was about our favorite texter.
Oh, yeah. Bill Gunter.
I didn't know how we get to use that in the future. All right, $1 million question. Where is my dustpan? Right where the dustpan is.
All right, we're back.
Okay. We'll stop the search for the dustpan just long enough.
Yep.
Interesting perspectives on a meltdown in the NBA. I guess it wasn't really a meltdown from a lead perspective. I think that happened a little bit earlier in the series. But watching an all-star point guard not take shots in Game 7s in the fourth quarter is, I just don't think, something we've seen before. Your perspectives on the Cool Care Heat and Air text line, especially Richard, one that I didn't consider and seems odd to me. Richard says, guys, they're overstressing this Ben Simmons thing because he's never been a shooter. It's Doc Rivers that stinks. Rondo saved him in Boston because he's a floor general and went against his coach in the playoffs. Doc choked at the Clippers and now in Philly because he can't make in-game changes. Good initial game plans, but after that, trash. And the TNT crew didn't want to say that because Doc is one of them, played in that era with Charles and Kenny Smith. He's been the losing coach on 6 of the last 8 or 9 largest comebacks in playoff history.
Yeah, in the last 2 playoffs, they've blown 16-point lead, 19-point lead, 12-point lead, 18-point lead, 26-point lead, and he has 29 losses with a chance to clinch a playoff series, most by a coach in NBA history. So I don't necessarily disagree with him, but, I mean, you can't watch Ben Simmons last night and that not be the lead story. He literally passed up a dunk. He didn't want to dunk on Trae Young.
Not just that, Anthony pointing that out as well on the YouTube live stream, but Patrick, what you pointed out earlier, I think is the bigger thing. Joel Embiid basically said that was the turning point in the game.
Yeah, when your own teammate is basically now starting to call you out, you're in a little bit of trouble at that point because Embiid basically runs that 6-4.
Well, and he's got issues too. I mean, he went 0 for 12 in the fourth quarter of a playoff game this year, so at least he's shooting.
All right, well,
right, 12 shots in one fourth quarter. Again, 3 shots combined in the fourth quarter in a 7-game series is the stat that is mind-boggling to me. I get it if you're not a good shooter, but when you're Ben Simmons is one of the best athletes on the planet, right? That's how he's owed $140 million the next 4 years. Especially in the NBA, you should be able to get a few shots up just from athleticism alone, just from that situation of being right under the basket, having beat a guy, lay it up, dunk it, something. But the fact that he never even looked to the goal, Bill, is why this is so notable, because this is so much clearly in his head as opposed to just a physical thing. We've seen guys not shoot before. I've never seen it get to quite this level from an NBA standpoint in a critical juncture, and then have the guy on the other side, Trae Young, with just the exact opposite mindset, and him being able to give his dad his own jersey at the end there in Philadelphia. quite the scene yesterday, combined with John Rahm's Father's Day, his baby, and celebrating the whole deal. I don't know if they can just get that flyover thing right.
I'll get the hang of it at some point. Brand new tradition, Tim.
Hey, how about we never do a flyover ever again at a golf event? Let's go with that. Hour 2 coming up.
Click.
So, Bill, you brought up your text about your texting nemesis. Mine is active this morning, too.
Yeah, I just saw that. I was like, great. Now I got to look that person up.
This last person?
Yeah.
Yeah. His name is Mark.
He's my least favorite person. Philly and Clemson fan. You.
Now I have to. Yeah, I gotta look up that nice gentleman and see how he looks. What kind of goofball he'll end up being.
Well, there's not much to investigate there. He hits me up on Twitter all the time.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
He hits you up on Twitter. Is that Boiler fan or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's a goofball. All right, I gotta find the dustman here.
When the prospect comes to reality, you need a partner who can count. If you're a man in this situation,
You guys ever eaten alligator?
I've eaten it before.
Alligator?
Yeah.
We put some in the skillet last night. It was pretty good.
It is
Always
good.
did it in a restaurant here in Lexington, but we did some home cooked alligator, blackened seasoning, quite tasty.
You need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919.
So, Patrick, you good with those traffic updates?
Yeah, I did it.
Thank you.
There we go.
Old timey meat market. They got the tail meat.
Charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility. In charge of it, and at some point, needs some attention. So the number to call.
Wanted to bring up, Bill, if you didn't see the College World Series, Patrick, you see the actually I have to talk about it on the air, but the Father's deal yesterday, Virginia.
No, the only thing I saw was a behind the plate camera video of a ref taking a nut shot on a pitch. Or I think I said ref.
That's such on the polar opposite end of my
Of what you saw.
my story.
It was funny. It had volume too, and you just see the pitch come down, hit the dirt, and you hear a It was brutal.
Yeah, I love the audio they get there, the College World Series. That and the new thing on ESPN. Have you guys seen this? Where they'll not only pop up the speed of the pitch, but also what type of pitch it is. Like they pop it up visually. It'll say like 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball. Have the miles an hour immediately. It's incredible.
How accurate is all of that tracking stuff?
That's really good. Morning, Jason. Yep, I'm at the beach right now.
At the beach. What a lie. I've never been down there. Did I get some of these storms yesterday?
Yeah, good one. tracking the 14-month-old at the beach is an interesting thing these days.
Oh boy.
Likes to eat in the sand.
Okay. I think I'm gonna have to go up and shave, like trim a little bit of the mustache. It's clearly harassing me this morning.
Hey, this is Brad Giles with Giles Brothers Insurance. Our family has been helping South Carolina families meet their insurance needs for over 50 years. We can help you meet your needs as well by
So,
providing
Patrick, my question is, what were you expecting from Blowing Rock?
operated
Oh,
agents.
Nothing. I didn't know. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know it existed. I just knew we were driving up to Boone, and 15 minutes out, we stopped and started walking around, and so confused because everything there is a bed and breakfast or like an inn.
Right.
It's just like where I assumed they were just there for hiking, but going on a vacation for hiking sounds miserable.
It is exact opposite of your whole life theory, I think, right?
Yeah, no thanks.
Was that so? Y'all stayed in Blowing Rock?
No, we just went up for an afternoon. We
Y'all
didn't.
y'all just went up for the wedding. Literally just went up.
Yeah, we were in
An hour away.
Yeah, we were an hour away. So it was like 45-minute drive to Blowing Rock. We walked around there for maybe an hour. Drove up 15 more minutes to Boone. Walked around the App State campus, down their little main street, and that was all we needed to see.
So was Thursday night a good night at least?
Yeah, the problem was they didn't have any light beers, so all they had was IPAs, and my head was pounding on Friday morning. It was horrible.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Oh, bought my first. What do you want to say? Pack of beer. It was an 8-pack of beer. Sycamore India Pale Ale.
Sycamore is fantastic. Do you get mountain candy?
No, juicy or I don't know. What it was.
Juiciness. Yeah.
I drank some on the golf course last weekend, and figured it would be a good like boat beer instead of taking bourbon out all the time because
It is. They've got a lot of stuff. Their brewery is in Charlotte. It's really cool. There's always a bunch of food trucks out there. It's a good time.
And
I'm impressed.
for clarity's sake, Bill, that's not the first beer you've ever bought, is it?
No, it's just like the first time in like 6 or 7 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Tried to
yeah,
avoid confusion there.
yeah. No, it's been a while though. Well,
It's always packed there at Sycamore. Every time I've been there, it's been a zoo.
really.
Right? Yeah, it's in the south, like in the south end. Very young area. A lot of land.
Yeah, I bought that. I bought a bottle of Redemption bourbon. Was not a fan of that. Too mellow. Too mellow. Oh boy. It's gonna be a long, long day.
And producer Jennifer Jensen. That's the kind of analysis we get on this show. Now, here's Tim Hill and Bill Gunter. Please, on 107.5, The Game.
All right, you're up.
Epic Game 7s, NBA playoffs, College World Series off to a heck of a start. A lot of close games out there. And then the Father's Day victory for John Rahm with a couple of big-time birdie putts down the stretch at the U.S. Open. Epic collapse from Bryson DeChambeau where he says, I just didn't get a couple of breaks. No, it's just golf. 44 on the back nine, including an 8 on number 17. It's quite a weekend in multiple ways, for sure. We talked a lot about Ben Simmons yesterday, or in hour number 1, I should say, from yesterday in the Game 7 for the Sixers, and he will continue to be a lightning rod, I think, in this offseason. This is not a basketball story only. This is a sports story to me. Superstars in their sports, and Simmons is an all-star, and maybe not quite a superstar, but you become a superstar. I think Trae Young is certainly on his way, if you don't consider him that, the Hawks point guard. In the moments when your team, your franchise is counting on you, Game 7s in the NBA playoffs, that's when your franchise is counting on you. And it's one thing not to perform well. Patrick, you mentioned Joel Embiid, 0 for 12 in the fourth quarter or second half the other day. I forget which game that was, 4 or 6, I think, or maybe it's Game 5 when they blew another big lead and the whole thing. You see that all the time. But what you rarely see from these high-level, ultra-talented, ultra-competitive athletes is guys shying away from the moment or just collapsing. No, not even collapsing. That's not the right way to put it. Just not being up to the task mentally, Bill. And you mentioned in the post-game comments, he admitted to a mental hurdle or some sort of issue there. But the 1-year LSU standout, a guy who is ultra talented, just couldn't even look at the basket when he had a wide open dunk or layup with about 3.5 minutes to go.
Do you guys know in his career, Patrick kind of asked this a little bit a bit ago, or didn't ask it. He kind of pointed out about the funny prop bet. I didn't realize this number because $140 million is a lot of money. Do you know Ben Simmons has been in the NBA for 4 years, Tim? Patrick may know the answer to this. So hold on for just a second, Patrick. Ben Simmons has been in the NBA for 4 years. Let's start with this number. How many three-pointers has he attempted in 4 years? 275 games, regular season games. He's played 275, okay? How many three-pointers do you think he's attempted in 4 years?
Which includes like half-court heaves.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That was going to be my point, because those are the only ones that I would think he attempted, because he can't make a free throw. He just set a record for futility in the NBA playoffs, shooting like 34% for guys that have shot at least 70 times at the line in the NBA playoffs, is the lowest ever. So I'm going to go 5. I'll go a handful. 5. That's my answer.
Attempts?
Yeah.
He shot 34. He shot
34.
He shot 34. Now 10 of them came this year. Do you want to guess how many he's made?
Ooh. Probably that same number of 5.
You were right. 5 of 34 in his career. 5 of 30. He did not make. I didn't really realize this. He did not make a three-pointer the first 2 years in the NBA. He was 0 of 17. And here's where I'm going with this. His best, obviously the last 2 years have been a little bit different. 57 games last year with how the NBA was played with COVID. 58 this year, the shortened season that started in December. So he played 81 games the first year, 79 the second year. His second year, he averaged 16.9 points a game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. That to me is not a superstar. That's not $140 million. His career averages are 15.9 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7.7 assists. They're good numbers.
Wait a second.
Joel Embiid made 58 threes this year.
He likes to shoot. But this isn't the point. This isn't anything new that Ben Simmons can't shoot. But Bill, I think you hit on it there. Those averages were. You say that was the second NBA season when he averaged that, or
that was the second. That was his best. No, the career, the second year is statistically speaking been his best.
Right. That's when he's 20 years old, right? 20, 21, something like that. And this is the thing with the Ben Simmons discussion, because I get it right now. You don't like the NBA. I understand. You're not into the NBA playoffs, especially this year when, well, what a strange collection of 4 teams you got left now, right? The Hawks and Bucks in the East and the Suns and Clippers in the West. I tweeted it out last night. Never felt older as a sports fan. these franchises. What is it? Who has the last NBA championship in this group now? The Bucks in '73, I think, or something like that. And the Hawks when they were in St. Louis before then, and then the Suns and the Clippers have never won one. So I get it. If you have no interest, no connection to any of that. But this is a rare example of a supremely athletically gifted player devolving in front of our eyes, going in the opposite direction of where these guys typically go. Like you play more, you get better, you learn. An organization invests a ton of money in you, so then it's also really invested in making sure that you continue to get better and get things going in the right way. And clearly the 76ers as an organization have been going in the right way. And then this, which wasn't a guy struggling. It wasn't Bryson DeChambeau hitting bad shots on the back nine yesterday. This would have been Bryson DeChambeau slipping on the tee box on whatever that was, 13, and then refusing to play the rest of the way. Right? This would have been him quitting and saying, "Hey, I'm not allowed to wear metal spikes. I'm not hitting any more shots." Done. Would have been something weird like that. Because when you don't even look at the basket, Bill, when you beat a guy and you have a wide open layup with about 3.5 minutes to go, you don't even look at the basket. Clearly something is in your head. And that's where Ben Simmons is today. And that's why I think it's so notable for so many different reasons. Just because I know you mentioned Chuck Knobloch, and we've seen it before, Rick Ankiel and Mark Wohlers in baseball. We've seen guys get the yips in golf, and plenty of guys missed putts yesterday, right? Oh, poor Mackenzie Hughes and Russell Henley, right? Guys that were in position in the final groups with a share of the lead going in yesterday, and just you knew they didn't have the pedigree going in, and then you saw multiple times just not being up to the moment. And the exact opposite with John Rahm. And Louis Oosthuizen, for the most part, except for that drive on 17, just pretty smooth and steady all day, up to the pressure, and had no problem with the spotlight. But this isn't even like choking in the spotlight or struggling in the spotlight. This is just the spotlight is too bright, and you don't have sunglasses, and you are choosing just to move completely away. It's something I feel like I've never seen.
Bizarre though, because everyone was pumping his tires last week because this is a second round series, and Joel Embiid was hurt for the Wizards series, missed a couple games, and Ben Simmons was like magic-esque. He played center for them to close out the Wizards and was awesome. He had a 19-point triple-double, and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, we haven't seen a player like Ben Simmons in so long." And then his fatal flaw just shows up in the next series on the much bigger stage. I don't get it, because he's been good. He had some big. Not big, because you have guys scoring 50 like it's nothing these days. But, I mean, against the Wizards, he went for 22, 14, 13, and 19 in 4 of the 5 games. He had an 18-point game in this series. He opened it up with a 17-point game and 10 assists. But I don't know where he hit the wall.
It's crazy to me. A much different and heartwarming story from the College World Series yesterday on Father's Day. I'll give you that when we come back as we roll on this morning. Love to hear what stood out to you on a very entertaining weekend in a lot of different ways for sure. And all the fathers out there, happy belated Father's Day to you. 803-404-6100, and the ultimate Father's Day story on the way here. It's the early game. It's 107.5 again.
Clear.
Go check on Austin real quick. Make sure he's okay.
What was that, Bill? I missed it.
I'm gonna go check on Austin real quick. Make sure he's all right.
Hey, you can't just throw out the brand, man, and then not follow up. Oh, Garden City. Garden City.
This update is sponsored by AAA Heating and Air, home of the $1,500 buyback. Call AAA. 0% financing. Plus a $1,500 savings. New unit tomorrow. 677-200. Summer is here, pools are open, and masks are starting to come off. Now's the time to get your home summertime ready. A 3-room park suite for only $119 and a free home wait with it. It's me, Tim Hill. Look online.
He's back.
Which one, the texter?
Just read the text you like.
You clown.
Well, yeah, that's how it works. If the text is a meaningful contribution to the show, it gets read.
You got to get in touch with these people. 803-794-8253.
We'll get Bill's take on the bourbon here when he comes back there, Craig. Shrinking is the right word for it, by the way. Shrinking or completely shying away from it.
Find us online at
Canopy Military Academy will be having an open house on Sunday, July 11th at 9 a.m. Register at Canopy.
You know what I want to do to the texters? Just send back Happy Father's Day, Mark.
And it's in that's probably not what you think. So come see for yourself.
Does he know you know who he is?
Oh yeah, I mean he tweets at me and like it's his job, I think. And then he called the other day, and I didn't realize it was him. But then after we started talking, I did, because he's the only person that's ever referred to me as a cheerleader.
Which call was he?
His name was Mark. It was the second of 2 bad calls after Gamecocks lost the regional, I think.
You misspelled it. My World with Jeff Jarrett. Listen on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your shows. Haggerty is powered by people who love cars like me. Hey, I'm Brad Giles. A policy through Haggerty allows occasional pleasure use of your classic car with no fixed mileage restrictions. So you can go for a weekend drive.
Oh, nice. So Craig is saying
specialize in clever car insurance. Through Haggerty or
I like Jefferson, Elijah Craig. I was debating this last night. Right now, my top 3 is Russell's Reserve, Angels Envy, and I'd probably have Elijah Craig in there. But Jefferson's is really good. Michael, I agree. I've been wanting to try that Jefferson's Ocean. I just haven't pulled the trigger on that because it's like $85 a bottle. But I've heard that Jefferson's Ocean is really, really good. Russell's Reserve has moved up my list very quickly.
Sonny, I'll try to stop in and see you there.
Angels MD's real good. It's real good. I really like that one. I had some of that yesterday. We have Blade and Bow this weekend. That's all right. That's good. Blade and Bow. I got on my Crown apple with cranberry and apple juice kick yesterday and a little bit of Sprite. Yep, Woodford. Woodford's always good.
Today sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market. With 3 locations like South Congress.
All right, we're back.
This is 1075 The Game. At Heritage Chevrolet, our first price is always our best price. So you'll see why Heritage Chevrolet makes you smile. The early game continues with Tim Hill and Bill Gunter on 1075 The Game.
You're up.
Don't know about you. My Father's Day was spent largely in front of the television. I did have my kids with me, and I think the other day I might have allowed or certainly it would not have been looked upon favorably to hang out in front of the television as long as I did yesterday. But watching a lot of U.S. Open, College Series, NBA Game 7, and then I watched a little bit of that Game 1, and Clippers and Suns as well. Devin Booker was fantastic. Suns ended up winning that thing at home without Chris Paul. But there were multiple moments, right? Father's Day word that you saw John Rahm, young, his baby put in his arms immediately after he nailed his second straight long birdie putt and was all pumped up. And it's hard not to pull for a guy like him, especially everything he said about good karma, and he believed in staying positive after what happened to him with the COVID test and being disqualified a couple of weeks ago on the tour with the big league. Then you had Trey Young, just absolute assassin in the fourth quarter, the anti-Ben Simmons. And after the game, takes off his jersey, hands it to his dad, and stands in Philadelphia there. But by far, the best Father's Day moment in sports comes in Omaha yesterday. Early on, it's game number 1, Virginia and Tennessee, the same Virginia team that came through the Columbia Regional and Super Regional. It was the Virginia catcher hit an early solo home run to give Virginia a 1-0 lead. Logan Michaels, first home run of the year. And they cut to the crowd, and there is obviously a guy who is supremely pumped up. And it's one of the best things about the College World Series, Bill. Having been a few times, there are a couple of sections, and I think they stay consistent. I would imagine so. Like basically the team's families and friends get specific tickets that are typically behind, I think, the dugout and just up several rows. And that's where you get like the most boisterous fans. Typically the cutaways go right into there. I remember maybe 2003, I think it was a series of Gamecock players' girlfriends back then. It was Landon Powell's turns out to be wife, and I think several of her friends. That was the typical cutaway way back in that 2003 College World Series for the Gamecocks, maybe 04 as well. Remember that notably, but it's that kind of section, right? That's where they go, and you can tell like it's more than just fans involved, the typical fan cheer, but the reaction from this Virginia fan yesterday just jumped off the screen to me as I was watching it. I was like, oh, that's got to be his dad. And it wasn't just Logan Michaels' dad in the thing. It was Logan Michaels' dad, Jeff, who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 3 years ago. And I think had a 5% chance of surviving 2 years. Wasn't able to see his son play at all. He's from Wisconsin originally until this year. And to be in the stands watching him react to that moment, it was spectacular to see. And I think later on, someone actually brought him the ball and the whole thing, all the emotion involved there. I hugged his wife there in the moment, and College World Series caught all this as it was going on. It was a special moment. And just as a fan, to me, it represents everything that the College World Series is. What's special about Omaha, and that a moment like that, it's just one small part of the story, man. There's so many storylines that go into these 8 teams that get there, and then what happens from there. From the Gamecock perspective, we got to see it time and time again, and to see that for Virginia yesterday, awfully special, and on a Father's Day deal to kind of put sports into its greater context. It was amazing to see from the Virginia standpoint, and kudos to Jeff Michaels for fighting the fight against pancreatic cancer, and great to see his son Logan, the Virginia catcher, perform for give his dad the ultimate Father's Day gift in a lot of ways. Man, it was a tremendous scene there on ESPN and for the College World Series. And then later on, if you're just looking from the sports perspective, somebody asked earlier how many strikeouts Mississippi State ended up with yesterday. 21 strikeouts against a really good Texas team, and Mississippi State advances. They'll take on Virginia in that winner's bracket on Tuesday, and tonight it's going to be Vanderbilt and NC State in the winner's bracket out in Omaha.
Yeah, I've followed the scores. I can't tell you that I've watched much of the actual baseball, but I've kind of just been following along to see who's winning. I was far more invested in the US Open and in hockey over the weekend as the Islanders had a 3-0 lead on a 3-0 game lead, not series lead that they nearly squandered Saturday night. And that kept a little bit more attention. But you're right. The College World Series tends to bring out some of those more human stories that we tend to get. And you just talked about that one in particular. Probably as the week goes along and we get a little bit removed, golf becomes more on the back burner in terms of major events as we now start to move ahead to July and look toward the British Open. But I'll pay a little bit more attention to the College World Series here and actually sit down and watch some games in the evening to kind of track it and really keep up more with it. But it really was a good sports weekend from that standpoint. And the College World Series always is a unique experience. It's something that a lot of South Carolina fans over the last 20 years have been very invested in because, what six out of the last 21, the Gamecocks have been in Omaha. So a quarter of the time they're typically there, and it's a sport certainly that South Carolina prides itself on.
And my buddy Mike Gillespie over there at ABC Columbia doing a 10th anniversary special about the back-to-back national championships. We did the 10th anniversary radio version of that about the first national championship. Got to talk to a lot of those guys last year, and now he's doing the TV version. So Tommy Moody is involved there. That one's going to air on Sunday, this Sunday coming up, I think 6:30 Sunday afternoon, and some previews out on Twitter. You can follow Mike. I think he's at M Gillespie, ABC 25 maybe, or I'll check that thing. Yeah.
I'm giggling because of our most recent text message from Charles. Is the Vandy Whistler the most obnoxious fan in the SEC?
I don't know if it's just an SEC thing, man. I think it might be.
Oh,
He might
man.
have just. I mean, what are you going to go, Spike Lee, maybe? Mike ABC Columbia, by the way, when you follow Mike.
I just curious as I laugh at that that text message that comes in, just because I feel like I couldn't point that guy out in a crowd of two people who he is. I'm guessing people have seen him at Founders Park when Vanderbilt has come to town, but that dude's got, like, in terms of being obnoxious, I guess he's created his own category and seems to be maybe the most, because I have to admit, I don't watch a ton of Vanderbilt baseball games if it's on a Thursday night or over the weekend, on the SEC network. But that guy's really well known, right? Like,
And speaking of that, during the Tennessee-Virginia game yesterday, I heard some throw it in the dirts.
oh boy.
Apparently, Tennessee fans have taken this, what I thought was just a Gamecock baseball thing, but apparently not. You have Vanderbilt Whistle at the top of the line, no doubt. I mean, like Bryson DeChambeau and level of annoyance. And his collapse yesterday, 44 on the back nine. I think those of us who don't enjoy Bryson DeChambeau had no problem watching it. And his comments afterwards just solidify, I think, my opinion. We'll discuss that as we continue to roll on. We'll kick off the second half of the show officially when we come back. 803-404-6100. If you would like to join, it's the early game. That's 107.5.
The home of the Gamecocks.
Clear.
And
Clear.
head football coach, Shane
Dude. I just searched Twitter search for Andy Whistler, and there's pictures of him.
Yeah. Just dude.
Gray hair with very slick back, a big gray mustache.
Will Pig guy from Arkansas, pretty annoying too, Steve-O said.
Oh, they all do that?
Yeah, but I think he's like the guy that wears like the Razorback hat and might lead cheer or something. But at least he's not like uniquely annoying. This is uniquely annoying.
He's a good whistler, though.
Heck of a whistler. It's true.
Sponsored by the South Carolina Office of
It's pretty bad. So we're using Double.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches real knowledge and with Babbel's interactive bite-sized.
Do Vandy fans like him? It looks like it's. I just Twitter search Vandy Whistler. I'm scrolling through it. It seems like he's very controversial, even in the Vanderbilt baseball community.
Awesome.
I can see that.
Now try that. Just go to Babbel.com.
Be
I mean,
very
if he were Carolina, if he was the Carolina Whistler, like we wouldn't pump him up on this station, would we? I don't know.
They like the Mr. Oot Oot.
Bill Golding.
I don't know if he was a fan of, or if he was a well liked member by other institutions around the SEC.
Respected, I think, is the way to go.
Respected,
Yeah, because
because Oot Oot is not as annoying as whistling.
exactly.
Okay.
And his story was, I think, actually he was a veteran. Did a story with him way back in the day, in the college days. And basically, his wife said that, college baseball or Gamecock baseball specifically is one of the things that helped him transition back to civilian life, and he latched on to in retirement and the whole deal.
But isn't that like, we don't know the background of the Vandy Whistler?
Yeah, we do. There's actually two of them.
Oh,
there's
whoa.
two.
Jeff Pack and Preacher Franklin.
Well, they can't be two. You can't have two of these guys running around. They gotta have a whistle off to be the official Vandy
Their
Whistler.
whistles sound slightly different. Preacher Franklin's is rapid fire. It comes in 3 quick chirp chirp chirps. Pack's whistles are structured and situational.
But who was the original?
The original Vandy Whistler.
I don't know. It says they both started whistling in games independent of each other.
Sounds like some media hype.
Over a decade, our office has been dedicated to helping hardworking individuals and businesses of all
And
tax
Sonny, don't worry. I had that Saturday night.
returns or wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens. Call our office today at 771-9800 or
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely two people. Looks like yesterday it was Jeff Pack that was being pictured in Omaha.
Morning, Hope.
Is it like a starting pitcher or a closer? Does one start the game and the other one finish it?
Seems like sometimes they're both there together. They rotate innings. We're back, by the way. Yep.
I didn't get into it with the kids yesterday, but they heard and they laughed and they thought it was funny on the U.S. Open after a tee shot. I forget whose it was. Maybe it was one of Bryson DeChambeau's not good tee shots there on the back nine. The Baba Booey.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, Baba Booey. And that was it. Like, I didn't do it anymore. I didn't want to give them the whole Howard Stern origination story on that one. Didn't think that was the way to go with the 8 and 6 year old. But it is, I think, similar in a lot of ways. It's just one of those things that you hear at a sporting event, maybe the first time, and you chuckle, or you think, oh, that maybe that's clever or unique, or didn't see that coming, or whatever. And then if you continue to hear it and hear it and hear it, it gets old real quick. But not quite as bad as the Vandy Whistler that you brought up, Bill, during our live stream during the break. How did he come up for you? On your social media there?
No, who was this? Charles
Charles brought it up. That's right.
And just said I had to mute the Vandy game on Saturday. The Vandy Whistler needs to be punched in the face.
And now Patrick has done some research, right? And you found, Patrick, that it's not the Vandy Whistler, it's the Whistlers. It's two?
Yeah, I'm reading some articles about it, but there's two different guys. One is 68. The other is 76. Their names are Jeff Pack and Preacher Franklin. And they have different whistles. So if you hear a whistle, and hear a different whistle, and you think, those were not exactly the same whistles. They have different styles. One's a triple whistler. He does a quick three count.
It's so odd, right? And it's one of those things that, I mean, you're saying that at the social media reaction that you're seeing is even Vanderbilt fans are split on this. And I think that makes sense, right? If you have to hear this every game. And then I think the problem I would have with it if I was a Vanderbilt fan is like, no one, that's what people take away from watching your game on TV more than anything else, not Tim Corbin's ridiculously good coaching or the amazing talented players that, I mean, obviously Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, they get plenty of airtime and storylines. But the casual fan watching Vanderbilt baseball for the first time this year at the College World Series probably comes away with, oh man, whistling is annoying. That would be my guess anyway.
Sounds like Jeff Pack doesn't like the spotlight, but Preacher Franklin relishes it. He
can
wears
see
a
that,
jersey
yeah.
that says Whistler. Vanderbilt jersey that says Whistler on the back, and he named his dog Whistler.
So to me, then, I'm guessing he's Whistler number 2. He saw the opportunity to capitalize. He's more.
Yeah,
That's what I'm seeing.
that would make sense.
Giving the other guy official, original Whistler title. I don't know if he wants it. Clearly not. I don't understand how do you do that and not like the spotlight?
Bring
You know what
that
I mean?
much attention to your. Maybe he just genuinely thinks that he's making a big impact on the game, and like he's truly helping the team out.
But isn't that what most fans that yell at the player or the ref or the opposition, they feel like
I
they're
don't
making
know.
an impact? I mean, if you're yelling at the opposition or your own team or your own coach, you feel you're not doing it for yourself, right? Or are you doing it to let out a little bit of anger?
I don't know, because people have given me a hard time for enjoying being at home watching games, and maybe that's because they feel like they're now a better fan because they're genuinely helping the team by being in the stadium yelling.
I don't mean like cheering. Like it's one thing like third down, everybody's making noise, banging on the back of somebody's seat who's sitting in front of you.
There's a home field advantage.
There is that. I get that. But like if you were genuinely yelling at the other at your own coach or at the other team, do you feel like you're making it? Are you doing it and feel like you're making a difference, or are you just doing it for your own good to release a little bit of built up tension?
I think there's both, right? It's that like in the moment, like, yes, I'm helping being part of the group. And then I think if you talk to that person afterwards, like, yeah, I get it. I probably didn't.
Like I feel like there's text messages we get on our Cool Care Heating and Air text line that people can't yell at their significant other. So we're their outlet for frustration. Like they just take it out on them, which is fine. Hey, we're here for it. I mean, we're big boys. It's no problem. We just kind of ignore you. But that's how I feel like people yell at, like if you're yelling at the offensive, defensive coordinator, whomever, the other team's quarterback, DeChambeau, again, this is actually why prior to yesterday, I kind of liked Bryson DeChambeau. I was kind of swinging back that way. They asked him, I think it was Saturday, maybe it was Friday. I forget which day it was in his post round about being called Brooksy late in the round. He's like, no, I take it as a compliment. Like, it's part of it. They if I wasn't any good at golf, they wouldn't be saying anything to me. It means that I'm doing something right, that I'm drawing the attention. I kind of agreed with him. I kind of liked him. And then you get yesterday the post round interview in which he's basically blaming everything but the way he played for shooting a 44 on the back.
Oh, I don't think it went off the rails at all. It's just a few bad breaks. It happens. It's just golf. Dude, when you have the lead at the U.S. Open, you're on the verge of going back to back, and then you fire off a 44. You have an 8 on the par 4 17th. No, that's not just golf. Yeah, that's why I can't believe anything that DeChambeau says, and it makes me realize why exactly. It's not just the hat, but somebody commented on that. Somebody said, I just hate the stupid on the live chat this morning. It's that, and when you say things that I can't believe afterwards, like completely can't believe. At least Ben Simmons didn't do that yesterday, right? At least because who was it? It's J.R. Smith, right? One of the last really weird scenes I feel like in the playoffs that we discussed at length, maybe when he thinks that they obviously have the lead. He just started dribbling out the clock. Didn't realize the thing was tied, and then afterwards kind of leaned into that. It's like, no, I knew the game was tied. I was just no one bought that. No one. No one's buying DeChambeau here, and that's the problem here, because I feel like a PR person, Bill, told him to say, "Hey, just say you think of it as a compliment. Say you're leaning into it. You're having fun with it." Clearly, it's having some sort of effect, or I think he's not having fun with it, or if he's having fun with it, he's not doing it. The rest of us.
It's happened. I mean, this has been happening now for the last 3 weeks, ever since the PGA Championship. This has been going on and on and on. And there he is. He's sitting right there yesterday. After was it the 7th, I believe, the par 3, where he hits an amazing shot, right? It looks like it's gonna go in, and then it's just right there. Is the 8th? I'm sorry, the 8th, and he was 5 under. He has the solo lead. He's right there. He's got it all for the taking. I don't think the trash talking is affecting him. He just hit some bad shots. I mean, and that's honestly all he needed to say was, "Hey, look, I was right there. I was 10 holes away from back-to-back U.S. Opens, and things got a little bit away from me. Don't tell me that, it's golf, it happens, and I've hit the ball worse in one tournament. No, you haven't hit it worse in one tournament. You haven't been knocking it left and right all over the course, knocking it into the and if you were hitting it worse, adjust your game and stop hitting it into U.S. Open rough, right? Like, that's the point. Don't hit it into the rough at the U.S. Open. That's what makes the U.S. Open so difficult." So I don't know. That was a little annoying for me, but it was exciting when he hit that the tee shot on number 8 to within, I don't know, inches on the par 3, and I was like,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there, and you're thinking, man, this is going to be an incredible finish to what actually was a fun weekend of golf. Was I in the minority on this on Saturday? Russell Henley and Richard Blair was not particularly thrilled with them being the 2 guys at the top of the leaderboard. Was maybe slightly rooting against them to get out of the way for the bigger names to get up there.
I don't know. I was watching Portugal and Germany play soccer.
There's that. Okay. There's that.
Why?
It's Ronaldo.
That guy.
Okay.
And Germany's great.
Don't forget Mackenzie Hughes being just like the 3rd Canadian ever, I think, to have a 54-hole lead or a share of one at a major. And poor guy down the stretch. I mean, you saw it. But I think this goes to that Ben Simmons story, Bill, and it goes back to what you were saying about the Vandy Whistler, about fans feeling like they are a part of something. Clinton hits this up sarcastically. I'm absolutely the reason Carolina beat Virginia in the first game of the NCAA regionals at Founders Park. Day is complimenting you, Bill. He says he's glad you understand the reason that we get some frustration thrown our ways on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. He says no one wants to let out frustration and negativity about sports around their friends and family, so you got to use the text line and then online fan forums to vent your frustration. Trey mentions it all depends on the venue, and I think this is a very good point. For example, Trey says you're going to tell me that inbounding a ball at Cameron Indoor Stadium is something you can block out? It's a good point. I think it's how you use that, right?
It goes for Williams-Brice too. I mean, on a long third down, when it gets rocking in there, like, it obviously makes an impact. But I guess the question Bill was raising was more like, I guess, where's the line between that and the whistler guy who's just being annoying versus actually thinking he's affecting it? And are fans, when they're high-fiving after a third down stop, are they high-fiving because they're happy the team did well, or are they high-fiving because they're saying good job for getting loud and stopping them? Like, you stopped them, and I stopped them, and we stopped them together. Good job.
We did it.
Yeah.
What you just suggested is a whole new way of now looking at why fans high-five after a big, like, are they high-fiving themselves? Like, hey, good job, buddy. You and I did it. Or are they high-fiving because their team just made? I will never view the high-five the same now after – everyone will come with the question, wait, are you about to is I turn to high five somebody? I'll go, wait, are you high fiving the play or yourself for being loud on that play?
Oh man, I felt like I saw it at the Game 7 yesterday too. At the end of that Sixers loss to the Hawks, where the Philly fans are throwing stuff on the court and the boos are raining down, and that's what I felt like. Maybe Ben Simmons would have been better off played away in Game number 7, right? Because we've seen that happen too, where the home field or home court advantage turns ugly real quick. And if guys don't perform or if things don't go well, that home field advantage turns into a bit of a disadvantage as well. A bunch of you continue to weigh in on that Cool Care Heating and Air text line. I love it. Patrick just says ban artificial noisemakers. Annoying. I think Patrick might be a little confused on the text line. We're talking about whistlers. These guys are doing it with their mouths, not artificially. The bandy guys, and still really annoying. I mean, at some point you could still just try to ban them specifically. Another texter has just had enough of us. He says, enough of your hate for Bryson. He owned his bad finish, and it is golf. He's good enough to be in contention over and over. He has revolutionized the game, so get used to him. At least he doesn't encourage fans to hassle an opponent like Koepka, who you worship.
That's right.
Yeah.
Get out of here with your Bryson love. We don't like him. We're Team Koepka. And if you don't like it, you keep texting in with your anger, and we'll take it, and we'll make you feel better. But we're all Team Koepka here. That's what we're here for you to let out your anger. And Bryson didn't own it yesterday. If you think Bryson owned it, you have a reading comprehension issue that you need to get fixed ASAP. Saying you hit the ball well. There.
Brooksy made $600,000 yesterday. Brooksy always plays well.
Brooksy's the man.
Trey having a little bit more fun with the show. Patrick, is it specifically to you? I can't wait to shout, we did it. You did your part.
Telling you, I'll never have people the same now at a sporting event.
I'm gonna just pat people on the back and tell them you were loud. Good job.
Well, you got to go the other way now too, right? When the other team makes a play, come on, guys. Yeah. What are we doing here? That was on you.
Point out the old ladies. I didn't hear you at all.
That's on you, man.
If you're not going to yell, don't even buy a ticket. Give it to someone who will.
404-6100. You can call or text. It's the early game. It's 107.5 the game.
Clear.
Oh, man. That was a classic text. You couldn't make up a more ridiculous one. Now you were looking up this guy.
I was just looking at all his. He just started texting back into May. Just being that guy. Thank you, Hope. It was a good Father's Day. It was a good Father's Day. Actually, I spent most of yesterday trying to remember that it was Sunday and that we actually had to come to do the radio show this morning. Oh, boy.
Yeah, I wanted to send out a tweet, something like, I am concerned for Ben Simmons' well-being in a lot of different ways last night in Philadelphia, man. That's way too serious and way too
Worst city for that to happen in.
Oh, not even close, right? I don't even know what number 2, New York?
I guess New York. It's really New York, Philly, and Boston, and then everything else after that. What's the most aggressive southeastern city?
A lot of people want us back in studio so bad.
I would say it'd have to be SEC fan base, right? It'd have to be.
Does anyone have that reputation?
I would go Knoxville right now.
Yeah.
I think Gainesville is pretty notorious for if
Like-
you're not championship contending.
Baton Rouge is more just like booze hounds.
Yeah, Baton Rouge is up there.
But they're not known to be like as angry and like turn on their team and start booing their team like Philadelphia will. Philadelphia will boo you in 5 seconds.
Yeah, Philadelphia really doesn't care. They just boo. They boo anybody.
I think LSU just starts taking it out on the opposing fan bases.
Yeah.
Patrick, I forwarded you the hotline message
Yeah.
from Doc Larry. Can we play it?
Yeah. When do you want to play it now?
Yeah, if you can do it coming straight back.
I have to exit out of the stream for that.
Gotcha.
I'll play it.
Awesome. Do it. Hot Take Hotline, leaving me hanging, Gamecock Larry. It's there for you 24/7, by the way. That Twin Peaks Hot Take Hotline, 803-978-6654. I'm guessing it has to do with Mississippi State College World Series. Does this happen last night, I think, when he hit us up? But I'm hoping Gamecock Larry's not just sleeping all morning. Maybe Root Hog and the Legion of Doom, you guys just harass him like usual, give him a bunch of phone calls, maybe wake him up, and so we can work this thing out. We don't need unresolved issues on the show. Hear from Gamecock Larry. Any of you want to hit us up on that Hot Take Hotline, feel free to do it, and feel free to air your grievances there. That's kind of the point, to vent, not just to say you're going to vent or you have problems, and then you'll address them on the live radio. You don't have to do it. What do you think, though? What do you think the issue might be? Any suggestions?
I don't know. What did you do?
No, we did get into a pretty deep Gamecock football discussion on Friday. I don't know if you ever had a chance.
Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday.
Right.
Had a
So,
chance to jump in on that.
speaking of that, Bill, you're recapping the Gamecock commitment over the weekends. A big defensive tackle from down in the Miami area, Jamal Weiss, announcing his commitment on Father's Day, said because he recently lost his father, he wanted to dedicate it to his dad, and felt like it took that, from what I understand from reading Wes Mitchell's article on Gamecock Central, to make sure or to really push him to doing the right things and being a better person. And this is how he wanted to honor his dad on Father's Day, to announce his commitment to Gamecock football, and talking about how it feels like home. And Jimmy Lindsay, the defensive line coach, Shane Beamer, have really inspired him, I think, and connected with him. And your evaluation, because it seems to me like it's going to take something special for you right now to give a bunch of credit, or I'm not sure exactly how to put it. Maybe evaluate the recruiting process in a big time positive way. I guess, is it just because there's so many question marks? Is it because it's now 246? Weiss becomes the sixth commit of this class for Shane Beamer and company. Is it because they're all 3-star kind of guys? Is it because Will Muschamp had the recruiting reputation and it never translated to sustained success? What do you think?
About what? Where exactly were you going with that? It sounded like you were saying I'm down on the recruiting, or that I'm not giving it. What were you trying to ask me there? Because I felt like you were going a direction.
What is it going to take for Shane Beamer and company to bring in that will change what has become, I think, is just a kind of a wait and see attitude in the recruiting evaluation? Like you said, yep, you got to get them in, you got to get them committed, then you got to get them signed, and then you got to develop them.
Well, it takes winning, and that's kind of an easy and stupid answer at the same time. But look, I don't think Will Muschamp recruited poorly at South Carolina. In fact, if you just go by the numbers, by and large, he recruited better than Steve Spurrier. But what he didn't do was develop talent, or he didn't develop a cohesive unit of 11 players being able to go out and put a quality product on the field. Can Jimmy Lindsay, as a defensive line coach, can he do what Brad Longing did and turn some guys who are good prospects into great prospects? Can he take a linebacker like Melvin Ingram and turn him into a really good prospect? Can he develop a guy like Byron Jerido, who came in as an under-the-radar junior college player and develop him into a quality SEC contributor? Can he do that with Brad Long did it with Devin Taylor too. So, there are parts to that I want to see development as well. The Will Muschamp era taught me a lot about developing players when you get them on campus and being able to turn them into solid SEC contributors. And a lot of times that didn't happen.
But DJ Wanham, Ernest Jones, Israel Mukwamo, these guys they're in the NFL. I don't know if I agree with that argument. Maybe we'll discuss in hour number 3. It's coming.
Clear. Mine hasn't even been able to cool down enough for me to drink it.
Really? It's a good cup you got there.
Yeah, I don't even think there's a close second out there. I think DC and New York would have to battle it out for second after Philly.
DC is kind of soft, though, compared to the Northeast.
Really?
Yeah, it's just I
bet, Craig. Sorry to hear that, man. My dad's up your way today. Patrick in Annapolis. He is caddying for my nephew in a junior golf thing.
Is your nephew a stud golf player?
What's that?
Is your nephew a stud golfer?
I'm not sure. I think we're in the process of finding out. I don't think he's ever done the 18-hole junior event. I think this is like an AJGA, like legit event. So I think I am very interested to see how this goes today.
Do you know what course it is?
Yeah, at the Naval Academy.
Oh, nice.
Wait, your son's playing in a little junior tournament?
No, my nephew.
Oh.
The oldest nephew. And my pops is caddying for him.
All right.
It'll be very interesting.
Sound like a good little event then. Now you got me looking at the weather. Wasn't that storm supposed to keep coming in this week, or was that just yesterday?
I haven't been keeping track of it. I'm gonna grab some water. I'll be right back.
As a resident of Forest Acres, I'm proud to see projects Security Federal Bank has financed throughout our community. I invite you to explore the many opportunities.
Well, rain tonight, 48%. Oh, a lot of rain tomorrow, 93% chance.
Yeah, it was brutal yesterday.
Yeah, it was.
My mom's in town and brought the dogs, and we were trying to figure out where to eat with the dogs. The rain did not help with that.
Yeah, it was. A lot of rain tomorrow.
Heading over to the lake after the show, Bill. My parents are trying to sell their house and move to a lake eventually. So my mom's doing some scouting this week.
Move to a lake or move to this lake?
No, that she's my sister's in Greenville, so she's coming. That she came to dinner last night. Is gonna just drive around Lake Murray and like get a feel for it, and then she'll drive to the upstate and look at like Hartwell, Greenwood, and some of the other lakes around the area.
I got you. I mean, it depends on what they're looking for. If you send them out this way and tell her to go up 378.
She's been to your side. She's never been to the like the opposite side of the lake. Like I guess what Prosperity and like Saluda. I don't know what is even up there. I've never been there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Send her up 378. That's where my dad lives, up in Prosperity. He lives up by Black's Bridge. He lives right down from Black's Bridge, River Winds and all that. It's country area up there. I say country area, but it's not as crowded, I guess.
Yeah, I mean they definitely want like a city. I told her Greenwood might be. There might just not be anything there.
Yeah, I agree. Chapin side's cool, but that's the other side. Good luck. Chapin is expensive. Lexington's not cheap either right now. I'd send them up to Prosperity. You get some decent land. It's not too far. You can get some decent land. You put a little home on it.
Yeah, I don't know what their plans would be with that because I'm sure they could sell their house right away, but gotta have a plan.
Tell them what? Okay. Yeah, that's a Prosperity. Like I said, Prosperity's a good area. There ain't nothing wrong with it. It's a little out there. You can go into Newberry. We got Newberry Opera House.
Never been to any of those areas.
You can't keep Bill contained there, can we?
No, I'm right here. We're talking like I'm sweeping up ants. I gotta go get some ant stuff today.
Thank
I
you,
gotta go
Steve.
get some ant stuff. We've been discussing property on the lake.
Good luck finding something, Jason says.
Yeah.
Well, the Chapin side, but that's what I was telling Patrick to send his mom up to Prosperity and that kind of area. A little bit quieter up there.
They look all the time. I think they're even willing to look in like there's a couple lakes in Tennessee, like near Knoxville as well. Cherokee, Norris, something else.
So they're pretty much wherever in the southeast. They're not their children.
Well,
Where their children are at is not going to confine them to one area, huh?
no, my sister's pretty settled in Greenville. She's for sure the most settled of anyone. So, I think Hartwell would be something to be pretty interested in. And if they're in like Knoxville, that's only like a 4-hour shot from Greenville, which isn't too bad.
Lake, I don't know much about it, but Lake Jocassee, kind of up in Asheville over there, would be. I've heard it's really, really nice.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. That we don't know anything about that really. And what
deep.
Lake Kiwi?
Kiwi?
Yeah.
Yep. They've got I don't know what their golf. They used to have a bunch of really good golf courses. I assume the Cliffs. I know they played the BMW up there at one of them. Arthur Blank had a house up there. I don't know if he still does. I can't remember which course. That might have been on the QE course. I can't remember which course it was. Yeah, but Lake Jocassee is supposed to be really nice. It's not that big, but we were reading about it this weekend. It's like 340 feet deep.
That's solid.
Reservoir.
All right.
Oh, Lake Jocassee might be a little bit too cold.
All right.
A laid-back start to hour number 3, coming off quite the weekend on Father's Day. Hope you have a Father's Day out there. Glad you're with us here to start on a Monday morning, where all kinds of notable things to get into. The John Rahm Father's Day victory with a couple of big-time birdie putts, 17 and 18. Louis Oosthuizen was the most steady guy. Bryson DeChambeau had the lead there for a little bit and then completely collapsed in the back 9, although he says it's just golf. didn't go off the rails at all. NBA playoffs heated up real quick. We talked about it in the last several weeks, how interesting the NBA has been kind of at large this year from our perspective. And then from my perspective in the playoffs, I'm always a guy who I'll turn over during a game, see if it's worth watching, and they just haven't been. But this past weekend, they certainly were. Game 7 on Saturday night, Kevin Durant out of this world and trying to do it all for the Nets, and just seemed like got to the point of he couldn't quite do it anymore. And you got to give Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton with the Bucks a bunch of credit. They make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're going to take on Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, who go on the road and get the huge Game 7 win last night in Philadelphia. And yet that's not the story coming out of that series. It is the disappearance, the shrinking of Ben Simmons that we have discussed in multiple ways this morning. A guy that ended up just taking 3 shots in the fourth quarter in a 7-game series. And last night, the turning point in the game that Joel Embiid, his own teammate, pointed out after the game was Simmons turning down what would have been at least a layup or a dunk, never even looking at the goal, passing, and his team got fouled and they wanted to. And to me, it was just a crystal clear example of a guy who was not up to the moment on one side, and then a guy who absolutely was on the other in Trae Young, having not played a good game, but was a different player and full of confidence in the fourth quarter and stepping up in a big moment. And now the final 4 teams left in the NBA, just nearly no history of championships. I think the Milwaukee Bucks in the 70s, then it was the St. Louis Hawks in the 50s, and the Suns and Clippers in the West. No championships in the NBA. So that certainly has my attention. World Series was off to a great start. Some really good games over the weekend. Great Father's Day moment in the Virginia game yesterday with the father of Logan Michaels, the Virginia catcher, in the stands. Jeff Michaels, 3 years after being diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and the ESPN cameras get him celebrating the early home run, and then they end up giving him the ball and tell the story and the whole thing. Tremendous moments there. But Bill, I'm going to start with Gamecock football this hour. That's how we ended the last hour. And a commitment from a prospect yesterday on Father's Day. I guess the actual commitment happened earlier. How often have you heard of this? I don't feel like I have heard of this that often. I don't know, 5 or 10% of the time, where a commit comes out after he makes his commitment publicly. He says, yeah, I wanted to do this earlier, but the coaching staff actually told me to wait and press a pause button there, make sure that you check things out and the whole deal. That is the story I'm reading from West Metro and Gamecock Central about the defensive tackle Jamal Weiss from down in Miami has committed to Gamecocks, and said that Jimmy Lindsey, the defensive line coach, actually told him to make sure that he was certain about it, or make sure that he at least came up to South Carolina and checked out the facility.
Well, we've seen this already happen where one player committed and decommitted because he had not, checked out the facilities and done maybe his due diligence, and that would be Anthony Rose, the 6'4", 180-pound safety out of Miami. And with these Miami kids, I do know there's a precedent in recruiting where they tend to commit and decommit because they get a little caught up in the situation. Maybe they think that it's a good idea, and then later on they don't. I think we've seen that with South Carolina. There was an offensive lineman, Patrick, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, Isaiah Walker was the offensive lineman. Do you guys remember him? I think he's at Miami.
Yeah.
I think he's at Miami now. I think he actually ended up committing to Florida, and then transferred almost as soon as he got there. And so, I understand why South Carolina why they would tell him to do this. The Anthony Rose is a kid who is now come up and visited South Carolina. It looks like they've got a great chance to get him back in the boat, to get him back committed. He's actually going to take an official visit to South Carolina this coming weekend. He's already been up here once and worked out. So, I understand that. I don't think it's a good look when you have kids committing and decommitting and committing and decommitting. And quite frankly, it's not maybe as strict a policy, but it's the same policy that Dabo Swinney kind of likes to use, which is, hey, if you want to commit, That's fine. Don't take any other visits. If you don't want to commit, go see what else everybody else has to have. We believe our product's as good or better than anybody else, but you're not going to commit and then go take a bunch of visits and try and figure out what you like then. Figure out what you like and then make a commitment to the school. So I think it's a good strategy. It keeps, maybe it takes a little bit off of the coach's plate, telling a kid, hey, go see what else is out there. Make sure you're comfortable with your commitment, and then when you do commit, that lets us know that you firmly believe this is where you want to be.
Hadn't seen this one before either. In that article I referenced, West Mitchell at Gamecock Central, Weiss specifically, this latest commit, the defensive tackle for Miami, saying that he was a big Jadeveon Clowney fan, and actually people used to call him Jadeveon Clowney when he was young, growing up and playing football. Bill, have you seen this from other prospects? Obviously, we all saw Clowney in high school at Rock Hill and the whole thing, the #1 pick in the NFL draft, and understood his impact, I think. But now this is when he got out in 2013, right? This is 8 years since he's left the campus, and to hear a 17-year-old guy talk about how he was a big fan back in the day, I just hadn't seen that lately.
I mean, I've seen it, and it still kind of registers with some kids. You got to remember what the hit was. Most kids were like 8, now it was 10 years ago almost, 8, 9, 10, depending on the age of a particular recruit. So it still does resonate a little bit. Certainly it does not resonate as it did right after in the 3 or 4 years afterwards when Clowney would go on to be the #1 pick and everything. But certainly he's had a good enough career that his college career kind of still is able to prop him up a little bit, I guess is what you would say. But with all that being said, I don't know if I've seen a kid, I think maybe where you're going with that, I don't know if I've seen a kid commit to South Carolina because of Jadeveon Clowney's name. Maybe it gets their attention. Maybe they're more willing. Maybe they're more open to looking at South Carolina. But I don't know if I've seen many that actually commit to South Carolina because of a Clowney or a Gilmore or so forth or so on.
And now at 6 commitments, what do you make of the 2022 class as it sits for Shane Beamer in this busiest of times, busiest of months? Now that the dead period is over, campus is open back up. That is, camps are ongoing. What needs to continue to happen? It's all 6 guys, as I'm seeing on the rival site here, rated as 3-star prospects.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good class. There's nothing wrong with it, but you're going to have to get a couple difference makers. You've got to land right here in town. Antonio Williams, the wide receiver from Dutch Fork. I mean, that's certainly a guy who can come in and add some speed and some elusiveness to your wide receiving group, and South Carolina needs that. There's some defensive linemen that they're after that we'll see if they're able to be able to land some defensive backs. Traquan Fagan, I believe, out of Alabama. I mean, this is just where you're at. You kind of hope Alabama doesn't push for him right now, because if they don't, South Carolina could be in a good spot to be able to land him. But if Alabama decides they want a kid out of the state of Alabama, that makes it exceptionally tough on any school to go in there. Ryan Brubaker, the offensive lineman we talked about out of Pennsylvania, is a kid that, again, you get him in here and hope for the best. So there's several what I would label as difference makers. And then, Tim, that goes back to the point of getting guys in, like, say, a Jamal Weiss, and being able to coach them up. Is Jimmy Lindsey able to take some guys and coach them up, and then you put them with your difference makers? Clemson's done a great job of that. Look at what Clemson's been able to do. And then their recruiting classes have grown. But Hunter Renfro was not a guy that anybody was necessarily chasing out of I think it was Socastee High School down there. And he ended up being a big-time player for Clemson, and obviously making several catches. I mean, you think about other guys that have come into that program in the last 10 or 12 years that weren't heavily recruited, but ended up developing into big-time players. Grady Jarrett's one that stands out to me. That really, we think about the Christian Wilkins and the Dexter Lawrences and the Cleveland Farrells and the guys that they've produced over the last few years. Grady Jarrett was a 3-star under-the-radar prospect out of Atlanta that came in, and obviously is going on to have a pretty good NFL career. But
more than pretty good. He's one of the 5 best interior pass rushers in the NFL.
Yeah, and so, I mean, but he was a guy that wasn't necessarily a big-time, massive recruit coming out of the Atlanta area, got coached up, has gone on to have, again, as Patrick just said, a very good NFL career. So you've got to be able to land some difference makers, and that's kind of where I am with this recruiting class. South Carolina's got some nice players committed. Nothing wrong with the guys they've got committed, but you've also got to be able to get some of those elite difference makers in there, like a Lattimore, like a Clowney, an Alshon Jeffrey. Some of those guys. Say what you want about him, didn't maybe go the way he thought, but Chris Culliver ended up being a very good safety for South Carolina during his time. So you've got to be able to get those difference makers and then you've got to be able to coach up the other guys you've got.
And that's where we kind of ended hour number 2, talking about developing players. And that's where I'm still confused or conflicted on the last coaching staff, because I get it. Clearly, the Will Muschamp era did not go well. And 16 combined losses in the last 2 years, evidence of that. But what we've seen with guys going on and having NFL success, I mean, just Ernest Jones this last NFL draft, I think most of us were surprised he even declared to go to the NFL and became a 3rd-round pick. J.C. Horn, I think, surprised everybody by being the first defensive player off the board, taking it 8 overall by the Panthers. Is it just a matter of, I know the narrative is that Will Muschamp stressed getting guys to the NFL, and those guys bought into that maybe a little bit too much, as opposed to the team first mentality. It was more of the me first. So, Bill, I know we're careful to try to oversimplify and take too many shots that might be unfair to the past coaching staff for sure, or what happened. Trying to explain it away easily, I guess. How does Shane Beamer develop players better? How does he and his coaching staff do that better in the next several years? Because the NFL numbers are actually pretty good for the Gamecocks in the last several years. That's where I'm confused, because you can't get guys into the NFL without developing them in some way, because it wasn't just sheer talent that got a guy like Ernest Jones, for instance, in the NFL, right?
I think you're talking about developing versus winning games. And I think Patrick hit the nail on the head. I think he summed it up the best that anybody has summed up the Will Muschamp era a few weeks ago. And something that I've kind of said, but the way Patrick worded it made the most sense. And go back and let's use the last time Will Muschamp won a football game in his locker room speech. What his locker room speech was. Well, you won the game with preparation. South Carolina beats Auburn, by the way. If any of y'all are like me and you just blocked out the 2020 season, now it's just complete. It did never happen. But think back to the locker room speech that they took the video of, and Will Muschamp's praising them. You won this game on Tuesday with preparation, and Wednesday with preparation, and Thursday with your preparation. And you know what? I think Patrick summed it up perfectly when he said Will Muschamp couldn't make in-game adjustments. If you countered whatever he prepped for all week long, it was like he and his coaching staff would get to the game and be like, whoa, what do you mean they're going to play 4 wide receivers? We didn't see that coming. Well, now what do we do? I don't know, man. What do you think we should do? I don't know. Let's just stick with what we were originally doing, which is playing 3 defensive backs, and we'll figure it out as there was no in-game adjustments. Being able to, I think, develop players.
But that's oversimplifying it, isn't it? Run it to the nub. Run it to the nub side.
Sure.
I've never seen a coach call a play going into halftime, and it happens coming out.
Texas A&M runs for 2,200 yards in one game against you, and he just says, "Yeah, the run fits weren't there. It's like, we just needed to fit our runs better." It's like, all right, well, do something, because it's not
in the game. Do it in the game. Do it in the game. And I think that was the thing, because you're right when you talk about DJ Wanham wasn't heavily recruited and Ernest Jones wasn't heavily recruited, and there's several other guys that they've gone on to have some careers, or at least look like they may have a career in the NFL. But it's one thing to develop. I think where Shane Beamer now will be judged, I think South Carolina couldn't have gone more 180 from a coach who was a genius in game in Steve Spurrier. If you've ever listened to the stories about Steve Spurrier and about how he would just see things happen on the field and draw up a ball play on the sideline and send it in with the quarterback and say, all right, well, we know they're making this mistake. Go run this play. It'll go for a touchdown. And then you go to Will Muschamp, who I think, in the middle of the game, he was dead set doing whatever it was he had decided to do Friday night. There was going to be no in-game adjustments. I would ask anybody, because maybe I'm just not thinking of one. What game in 4 years or 5 years did Will Muschamp make an adjustment and win the football game? Any adjustment? But was there any? Oh. I mean, it was, hey, we show up and all right, this is our play. Think about this, kind of a weird Will Muschamp stat. I'm thinking of two in particular, and they lost the game and lost both of them by 20 points, where they would come out and score on the opening play. Deebo Samuel against Kentucky, I think in 17 maybe at home. They hit the slant on the RPO. Kentucky adjusts. South Carolina doesn't do anything the rest of the game. And then even 2 years ago in Knoxville, I think it was Shi Smith on a slant to start the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Shi Smith who was like 75 yards. I think it was both of those games by 2 touchdowns. So I think what you have to have with Shane Beamer is the ability, and really it comes down to Satterfield and Clayton White, your offense and your defensive coordinator, is the ability to adjust in a game and outmaneuver the opposition, because it seemed like whenever South Carolina got into a game, whatever they prepped for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday was exactly what they were going to do on Saturday afternoon.
Well, Matt Corral, the Ole Miss quarterback, probably the biggest indictment of that, right? After that Ole Miss win on the field, on the game afterwards, like, yep, we knew it. We knew what we were going to do, and we tore it up, basically. And Ole Miss absolutely did, and the image of Lane Kiffin throwing up the call sheet will be there forever for sure. 803-404-6100, the number into the show if you would like to weigh in. Love to hear from you. The only players that ever developed under him, Justin said, was the guys who already had good potential or a high floor, as you can see them. He could not develop players as a whole and translate that to a team that played off each other. I mean, Ernest Jones didn't come in with a tremendous high floor. I just disagree with that generalization. No doubt, I'm not disagreeing with that. There should have been a move made, or that clearly it didn't translate into wins. It's just there has been some development. Clearly not enough, no doubt about it. And the recipe was not for success, obviously. But we'll see what happens with the new coaching staff. And again, the sixth commitment over the weekend for Gamecock football for this class of 2022, Jamal Weiss, his name, a defensive tackle from down in the Miami area. Will be interesting to see how this recruiting class continues to develop as the busy June for Gamecock football and everybody else in the college football and really athletic world overall, recruiting world overall, continues to move on and evolve here before our eyes. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Gamecock Larry decided to call our hot take hotline last night. Said he has a bone to pick with me. I can't wait to hear what it is. When we come back, we'll do that. It's the early game here on 107.5.
I believe I was told the summer solstice actually occurred maybe yesterday, over the weekend at some point. All I know is that means the weather, the temperature, it's about to be hot. It's about to be really, really, really hot. Your air conditioner better be working. At this point, if it's not, don't wait any longer. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Get them out to inspect your unit. If you need a new unit, AAA Heating and Air is going to take care of you. Roy and Dana Finley, they barely know me, but they've treated me like family since the day they met me. They made sure that my family was comfortable. They made sure that our heating and air unit was working, especially for the summer. They were big fans of my kids. They wanted to make sure that my kids would not be scorching hot when they're hanging out here in the house watching television or playing PlayStation. Most importantly, they're going to treat you the same. They're going to treat you probably better than they treat me, because you're valuable to them. They see you as family members. They want to make sure that you and your family are extremely well taken care of. That's why I use AAA Heating and Air. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. That phone number again, 803-677-1500. If you've got an issue, how about this? They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to take away your old unit. They'll work with you, 0% financing, no money down potentially on getting a brand new unit. And here's the best part. If there's an issue in the future, 15-year parts and labor warranty. That's Roy and Dana Finley treating you like their own family members. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Tree Company. That's a I only know the girl that runs it, and her name is skipping the name. Carlton. Tree Company. Oh, Madison Gant. It's Madison's company. The Gant girls. Sadly, I know Madison. I don't know the company.
I'll get it for you.
Tim, you're missing the forest for the trees. Happens. I don't know what you missed.
Service there, Carlton. There you go. Hope's all over it. Work Hope. Alan's all over it. Pioneer Tree.
Pioneer, thank you, Pioneer. All right. Oh, that's right. Today is Amazon Prime Day. Everybody get to Amazon quickly. Let's see what the Amazon Prime deal is today. It's 2 days of epic deals. Oh, I can save 20% or more on Frito-Lay products. Oh, kitchen shears. 20% off. Is anybody else as excited about this as I am?
No, that's going to ruin my week.
Amazon Prime is going to ruin your week?
He's got to move the boxes.
Oh, that's true. Thank you, Trey, for that nice breakdown of what I did. There was summer solstice, I think was yesterday. So it looks like I can get a Blink outdoor wireless weather resistant HD camera for $149. Three cameras. I could get 3 cameras. Ooh, I could pay $30 for 5 months. See what happens when I go down a rabbit hole of looking at Amazon. Tim, have you ever been on Amazon?
I have. I do in 2021.
Okay, just checking. I do think I called you the other day and heard what I believe was a you actually had your voice for your voicemail. I was very impressed.
Yeah, I'm not pleased with that. Out of it. That's a totally 90s thing. Maybe early 2000s. Yep, I think that's the plan there, Alan and Hope, that Heath's going to SEC Media Days this year.
Yeah, the old 5 to 8 gig on the 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. gig on Radio Row this year. next year I think we get back into everything. By the way, Patrick, you're right on the Fast and Furious 9. I'm already a big fan of the car flying off the cliff with the
You saw the
hook
same?
and swinging around.
Ridiculous.
Look at this from Carlton. Got to give us some sample questions, Carlton. See how bad we do on it.
Oh,
Carlton, check your calendar. Next Olympics are in 3 years. Better hurry.
Good thing you went ahead and passed that sucker, huh?
Yeah. We're a year late on these ones.
So I guess they're going to have it because I've seen the trials, and then I saw yesterday where I think they're going to allow like 10,000 fans.
Yeah, that's the word.
Seemed like Japan was really trying to do everything they could to not have the Olympics.
Yeah. I don't know. I just want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll get into it. Y'all know how much John Rahm won for winning the U.S. Open?
Saw that.
What was
But
it?
yeah,
2?
2.3.
Yeah. I was just looking to see what all the later guys won. I saw I don't even know where Kisner finished, but it was very near the bottom of the cut of the guys that made the cut, and it was $27,000. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
wait.
That's what they were talking about with Mickelson yesterday. Does it give me a breakdown here?
The one that surprised me was what Oosthuizen made for his second. Was it 1.4?
Yeah, something like that.
1.35.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the only two guys to make at least $1 million. The next Harris English was third, and he had 829,000.
But then all the fourth place guys got $600K. I mean, that's a nice weekend.
Jimmy Walker was plus 19. He made the cut, shot 77.80, and made $22,000.
Are you looking after taxes?
It just says what their earnings. Just says earnings. So
That's gross.
26.
Then you work in expenses. He lost money.
Yeah, Phil made 26. So if you
Lost money. He probably
it's got. I mean, if you're saying this is after taxes, it's got Phil at $23,936.
All right. So how does Kisner get from Aiken to Torrey Pines? Fly just first class? Because most of these guys are. Is Kisner that big of a baller that he's getting private jets?
Probably so.
Charters.
Wheels up. Use wheels up or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what level he's at. You're up.
So are you guys John Rahm fans now? I think I'm going to call myself a John Rahm fan after what I saw over the weekend and what I heard from him after he won. It was not the Father's Day part of it that I latched on to, not the part of it that he feels at home at Torrey Pines, and that's where he proposed to his wife. It's the good karma part of it, the staying positive after being disqualified a couple of weeks ago when he had a 6-shot lead and the whole thing. And I feel like this is the main difference between he and both of those other dudes that get talked about most in golf right now, Bill. And it's why I don't have a good answer for who do you prefer, Koepka or DeChambeau. I don't like either one of them. Because I feel like both of those dudes in that same situation, if they were in the same situation that John Rahm was in and they got disqualified, it would be, oh, woe is me. This is so unfair. I can't believe they did this to me. Wah. That they would have just whined about.
Oh, Brooks doesn't care enough.
Maybe it was like, it's not even a major. I don't know why I was playing.
Whatever.
Well, he wasn't even playing in that one, right?
I don't know.
I don't think he was playing in.
What was that Memorial? The Memorial? Because wasn't that the tournament that the last Memorial 2 years ago, wasn't that what Rahm won to become number one in the world for the first time?
Sounds right.
He was very emotional after that. I was kind of a fan of him after that, getting very emotional. He's like a golf historian. He was talking about Seve and that he was the first Spaniard to reach number one since then, and it was like a big deal.
Yeah, but to me, like he's been relatively under the radar. Like I mean, a good golfer, no doubt. Pretty steady. He's been known for his temper a little bit, having a bit of a fiery personality. But to me, I've always been kind of lukewarm. He's been okay. I'm fine with him. But now, what I saw, hearing that, made me a fan of Jon Rahm, and also, probably more so, the excitement he showed and brought to the end of the U.S. Open. Because he didn't just make those putts and then, give a little, like Rory made one towards the end, and Curtis Strange was like, oh, if this goes in, you're going to see a really pumped up Rory McIlroy. And McIlroy went like the most stoic fist pump ever. He's like, or maybe not. So, but Rahm, and I mean, no doubt it merited the situation. I mean, that was like Tiger Woods fist pump-esque on 18. And just those kind of coming out of nowhere, making both of those long putts, man. It was fantastic to watch. I am now going to be pulling for Jon Rahm a lot more than I was beforehand because of how he plays and then how he chose to approach a situation unlike anybody's ever seen. Because I think the easy route would have been, what was me? I can't believe they did this to me. Me, wham. And Rahm chose not to do that, and now just turned it into an overwhelmingly positive thing for him, obviously, with the first major win yesterday. Bill, you don't seem to be following my train of thought here or be feeling quite the same about Jon Rahm. I'm gathering from it.
Well, I've liked Jon Rahm for a while, and it really kind of was reinforced on I think it was Tuesday last week, Tuesday or Wednesday. He had his press conference, and I thought he did exceptionally well. He was cutting up with the media, but he was also talking about some of the background stuff, not just with the positive test, but also just general stuff about his life and his wife and what Torrey Pines meant or means to him and his family. I would say that, I've kind of always pulled for Jon Rahm. I wouldn't say that he was a guy that showed up at a tournament. I was like, oh, got to follow that guy. But by and large, I've never really, I think he stayed out of the limelight enough to where you didn't really have an opinion. I don't know if you could say that about Koepka, or you definitely couldn't say that about DeChambeau. Obviously, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, good or bad, these guys have always been in the spotlight. Even a Rory McIlroy. What was the situation with the former girlfriend, Patrick, I think, where
Caroline Wozniacki, where you left her at the altar?
Yeah, pretty much. Yep,
basically.
That one. Yeah. So, like Rahm has been more, I'd say, under the radar. But I really kind of gained more respect for him, or not gained more respect for him, but saw a different side of him in that press conference last week leading up to the U.S. Open. And so that was kind of neat. I was pulling for him this weekend. Again, I'll brag for a second. He was my pick in our picks contest on Thursday morning as we got those out. He was the favorite. Patrick and I talked about that on Thursday morning. I think he was like plus 900 is the favorite to win it. So that's all neat. I don't know. I think there's a lot of good guys on that tour that are easy to pull for. I also
but you pull for Koepka and DeChambeau.
I go, yeah. I mean,
Patrick Reed.
And Patrick Reed, yes, Patrick Reed, of course.
Throw them all in there.
But I mean, I like personality. And sometimes in golf, you and I and a lot of people that are listening came to the sport because of Tiger Woods. And emotion and personality are two entirely different things, right? Tiger Woods wasn't shy with emotion. The fist pumps, all week long we saw the replay of 2008 and the putt he made and the emotion he had with Steve Williams, his caddy, and everything. But personality off the course, and that's why I really do like this DeChambeau Koepka thing, because you actually see some personality in golfers. And I think there's a lot of people in another sport that would like to see the personality come back. And it's what made NASCAR so much fun was the personality of the drivers, right? Back in the 70s and the 80s, that you saw personality in them. I don't know. I don't feel like you get a ton of that in golf. You get very straight-laced, down the middle guys who are going to say as few words as possible in a press conference setting and just get on the course and play. And I've noticed it more. I think it was 2 or 3 tournaments. Might have been right before I went down to the PGA. And they were talking about DeChambeau and how basically he'll talk after he hits a shot. He will talk to anybody around him, not just his caddy, but anybody. And I've noticed that more. If you watched over the weekend, he hit a putt and he pulled it. He pulled the putt. I forget, the announcer was talking about it. And DeChambeau stood there and did his hand like the putt broke left or whatever. And the announcer's like, it didn't break. He just flat pulled it left. It was a flat out pull. It's a bad shot, a miss hit. He grabs the ball and he's looking at it, and you can tell off camera to his right, somebody in the gallery must have said something, because he starts explaining the putt to them, and not his caddy who was on his left side. I kind of like that with DeChambeau. I like the personality and being able to talk, because I don't feel like you see that from a lot of other golfers.
To me, that's more of a thing that he's working out. He's not doing it for the other person. He's doing it because that's just how he does things. He's got to process things, and he's a scientist and the whole thing. So I think I went more pro Jon Rahm and then anti DeChambeau and Koepka this weekend than I thought I would, just based off the play. And I would have had no problem with Oosthuizen winning. I think he's another a guy that's easy to like. He's really steady. He doesn't show much personality, Bill, but I feel like he doesn't take himself too seriously out there, and is not afraid to smile. And the way that he just kept being up to the moment, while you're seeing these other dudes and Hughes and Henley kind of miss relatively easy putts and the whole thing out there. I liked his steady approach. And he's just one pulled drive away there on 17 that goes into the hazard. That one penalty shot basically keeps him out. I would have loved to have seen a Rahm Oosthuizen playoff. That's what I was kind of pulling for at the end. I mean, if Oosthuizen would have chipped in on 18 for an eagle, would have been the most dramatic and crazy ending we've ever seen in golf. Both those guys, I became fans more of this weekend, having watched them play and how they handled the whole thing. And that's what goes into this Ben Simmons situation in the NBA in the playoffs in Game 7s. And both Game 7s in the Eastern Conference Finals, or the Eastern Conference semis over the weekend, fantastic to watch. Saturday night, it was Kevin Durant doing his best to get the Brooklyn Nets in there, but just didn't have enough against a really good Bucks team. And then last night, I still can't wrap my mind around what we saw, because I've never seen it before. To me, that it was just weakness exposed on the largest stage for a guy that I thought had passed enough tests and gotten to a point in his career. Ben Simmons is an all-star. He's got $140 million coming his way the next 4 years. He's, to me, so athletically superior, and you saw it on defense yesterday. Trae Young really struggled until the fourth quarter in the biggest moments where he stepped up. And then I think that's where we just saw mental fortitude on one side and not the other. And Ben Simmons just bears all the brunt of it on his shoulders, I think. And I guess the Doc Rivers haters have come out this morning as well, or last night too, and they're giving him a bunch of the blame too. But to me, the Sixers were in position to win that game if they just got a halfway decent performance from their superstar, or at least star point guard, and a guy that only shoots 3 times in a 7-game series in fourth quarters combined. It's just mind-boggling in so many ways. That's what happened.
He shot 4 times yesterday total. He's 2 of 4 from the field. Played 36 minutes.
Scored 5 points.
Scored 5 points. Had 13 assists, 8 rebounds. I was just looking because you brought up. I wanted to go back and look at Trae Young's numbers because you said he struggled. And I was thinking, I don't think he struggled that much. 5 of 23 yesterday. 2 of 11 from 3-point range. I did have 10 assists, 21 points, but 5 of 20.
Kevin Huerter show.
Kevin Huerter, 10 of 18, 40 minutes. Yeah. So
that guy. I didn't even. I had no clue who that guy was.
Really?
Yes. No, I had to look him up. Maryland guy.
Yeah. From upstate New York. Yeah.
He was a mid-round pick, 15 or 16. Am I right?
Yeah, he was
19
a case of Maryland thought he was going to come back, and then he just absolutely crushed it at the combine and realized, oh shoot, exactly what the NBA wants right now. I'm long and I can knock down 3 balls, and his stock just skyrocketed during the combine, and he never came back.
I mean, and that's a great example too of a guy that you don't expect stepping up in the biggest moments and clearly exploiting a matchup. Right? He felt like he could score on Seth Curry. He had the height advantage. He was going to get a shot off. He's going to take advantage, and he did. And then the exact opposite on the other end for Ben Simmons and the Sixers. And I feel bad for him in so many different ways.
Great nickname for Kevin Huerter too. My favorite type of cake. Red Velvet. It's a great nickname.
That is pretty good. He was pretty smooth yesterday.
Yeah.
803-404-6100. If you'd like to get in a final word, dramatic conclusion of the show coming up here. It's the early game. It's 175 the game.
Clear.
I forgot Gamecock Larry, didn't I?
Yeah.
How dare me?
Zeros.
Chocolate. That's what it was yesterday. It's part of the Father's Day deal. My Father's Day gift from the kids yesterday. Hershey's, graham crackers, and marshmallows. Not just because I love s'mores, but it was a symbolic gift because they got a fire pit for us at the house. We're going to add that to the deal. We're going to do some s'mores. So we did some yesterday as a symbolic Father's Day celebration. And then, of course, the chocolate gift right on the carpet. So I need to get Zero Res back out to my house. They've been out to my house a couple of times, done a great job cleaning my carpets. They cleaned the area rug for me, also freshened up the tiles in both the kitchens and the bathroom. And that's what I expected from professional carpet cleaning service. What I didn't expect was to feel good about their specific process. They have a patented powered water system, ZeroResColumbia.com, where you can go and find out all those details. They crank out the pH in the water. If you're a big chemistry nerd, they'll explain it all to you. What I needed to know is there are no harsh chemicals involved in the process. Had nothing to worry about when it comes to my 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and now 1-year-old, always being all over the floors all the time. Also, no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Yours can as well. And they've got a great deal for you right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill, 803-262-4020, ZeroResColumbia.com. Book your appointment today. That's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Word to it, Anthony. Did totally forget to go to.
You're just giving them time to wake up.
What do you think? Clinton nailed that one. You clean up a little extra nice for the studio trip there, Patrick. You're on mute, by the way. Oh,
Yeah,
what?
you got his Georgetown shirt on.
You're still on mute, dude.
Why are you wearing a Georgetown shirt?
Okay, what were you saying?
I said I'm still wearing a t-shirt and shorts. I don't know how to clean up that well.
Sure.
I got a haircut. Not ever. I still shower sometimes, but I don't need to shower in the morning.
Big score. Is Gamecock Larry there still with us?
Yep.
I made the dramatic conclusion of the show. Get him to yell at me. Well done, Trey. Driving the subscribers.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Trey. I like that. He's just started to do this on his own, evaluating, judging the live spots.
I felt good about my 9.35 on there a minute ago.
Oh, I beat you?
Yeah. For some reason, you got a +5 Father's Day s'mores drop.
I mean, for some reason, it's talking about s'mores on Father's Day, man.
Yeah, but I knew the summer solstice. I feel like that was a.
You said but you didn't say it. You said apparently I was told that the summer solstice happened.
You're lukewarm on it.
Yeah, you didn't say it was fiction.
You got to lean into it. Commit, man.
That was the longest day of the year yesterday. Pretty sure that's how that works. Unless today's the longest day of the year. We're coming back.
All three kids, 10 through. Thank you. But are we high fiving because we got the third down stop, or because we as
'Cause you got
fans
it.
closed the third down stop?
Yeah.
My access is spotty right now. Okay, I think I'm good. It worked it out.
You're up.
Patience is a virtue. I think we all know. I'm not sure if Gamecock Larry, our favorite 86-year-old caller, extols that virtue on here, or complaining about how long he is made to wait actually makes that null and void. And then the hot take hotline he hit us up with, that was last night. It really did pique my interest, though. Gamecock Larry, you said you had a bone to pick with me. You left a message, but you didn't tell me what it was. Please explain, and I can't wait to get into this. We got you. Yes, sir. Do you have us is the question.
I'll tell you what, I've been listening since 6 o'clock, see if you would jog my memory what bone I had to pick with you, and I can't remember what it was. I didn't write it down. I'm going to have to think a while longer. I'm going to listen. I'm going to think today, and I'm going you said something about the Gamecocks Thursday. It didn't go pretty well with old Gamecock Larry, and I should have wrote it down. But you're still my buddy, so I'll think about this, and I'm trying to call you tomorrow if I can remember what it is. But Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. I hope Tennessee goes out first. I hope Mississippi State wins it all. If they don't, I'm going to pull for Virginia. The Gamecocks got a commitment from an Alabama offer. I think that's right. I think I said that right. Anyway, Alabama offered him, but he committed to the Gamecocks. I don't believe in much in the commitment, so we'll just have to let it go from there. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow if I can remember what I wanted to pick that bone about for Tim. Go Gamecock.
Gamecock Larry, ladies and gentlemen. My buddy. He's unlike any other. I am disappointed, though. I was hoping that I could at least defend myself, defend my honor, but there's nothing to defend now.
What time did that hot take come in last night on the hot take line?
About 10 o'clock, I think.
So he managed to remember it from Thursday to last night at 10 o'clock.
And then forgot it when he woke up.
Got it between 10
It does show
and
the
8. Is that
function.
what I understand?
That hot take hotline is their event, and he didn't exactly get the issue out. He just said he had the issue, and that was enough for him to move on.
It was enough to stay fired up for, 72 hours?
Yeah.
But in the last the last 11, he's completely forgot what it was about.
Yeah.
72 hours, he held on to that grudge. Probably had an awful Father's Day because he was just mad at Tim. Like his family was trying to take care of him. He was just mumbling about Tim all day yesterday and how mad he was. Finally got to him last night.
I think he's good since Tennessee lost. Since Tennessee lost, Virginia beat him. So if Virginia wins the national championship, don't we have to look at Gamecock baseball differently? If they got beat by the national champs in a regional? I think you totally do, man. If you see a Cinderella run, it continues right now because that wasn't a fluke that they shut Tennessee out yesterday. I get it. Andrew Abbott's their guy, but they got other guys. And their lineup right now is solid and their defense is solid. I mean, that program has won a national championship within the last, 6 years for a reason. Bill, nothing? Not at all. Not going to change your opinion one bit, huh?
Mm-mm. I don't understand why it would. Like baseball's different. It's different. Teams can get hot at certain times and go on to win. But no, South Carolina was good enough to win that regional. Should have won that regional and didn't get the job done. Would have hosted Dallas Baptist. Maybe South Carolina would be in that position right now that we're talking about Virginia being in. No,
but that's my point, Bill.
They should have beat Old Dominion too. They just couldn't hit that weekend.
It's true. Yeah.
But my point is that if South Carolina could have been in that position, doesn't that make you favorably look at what they were this year, doesn't that make you look at it more favorably than otherwise? No, nothing.
They're a good baseball team. Just couldn't get out of the regional.
Solid take. You see how Bill talks he almost tries to swallow his words when he doesn't believe his words, I think, Patrick.
Nah, I'm still thrown off by the Gamecock Larry phone call.
That's a good point, as we all are. And maybe you were thrown off by today's show. Maybe you weren't. We appreciate you listening either way. That'll do it for the early game. Dan Patrick Show coming up next here on 107.5 The Game.
WJTFM in Puerto Rico.
Clear.
This is 107.5 The Game.
All right. Live streamers. Thanks for checking us out. Appreciate it, Anthony.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Well,
Mark, you can just start watch the beginning of the show after it.
That's right.
On YouTube.
Have your coffee now and pretend like we're starting all over.
it's the brilliance of the live stream, man. Even when it's not live, you can check it out. Oh, have a great day as well, Trey, Greg, Alan. We need to hire Alan as the show agent, clearly.
Clearly.
Never a bad show. Thank you, Alan. We will try to do it again tomorrow. See you guys then.
Good luck.
Yes, good luck with that post Father's Day hangover.
All right.
Hair the dog.